not on Facebook. And I'm trying to go back, but you remember my? Oh, okay. Let me see. 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 Okay, view on Facebook. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay, go look whether we're on Facebook.
I think so now. I think, yep, we are.
Oh, we are? Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Yes, I do believe. Okay, go look whether we're on Facebook.
I think so now. I think, yep, we are.
Oh, we are? Oh, okay, 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 okay. Okay, hold on. Yes, I do believe. Okay, go look whether we're on Facebook. Oh, it's repeating itself.
I think so now. I think, yep, we are.
Oh, we are? Okay, 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 okay. Hold on. Yes, I do believe. Okay, go look whether we're on Facebook. Oh. Okay, hold on. Serian, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's echoing in the background. I don't know what's up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Are we on Facebook?
We are on Facebook, and I saw Tukulor's comment as well. So
Okay. Then
so it looks like we're in business. 24 people joining you right now, live and direct, Fadamos.
Okay, you're the best. And Mr. Nfally is already on. Let me add him on. Mr. Fadera, good afternoon from my end here in Atlanta. It's been a while, my brother.
Hello, good evening from Gambia, Mr. Jang.
Yes.
And Mr. Moron, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. Long time indeed. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. I mean, Seriang, Nfally used to help us schedule some of these interviews. And this was
Yes.
like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He worked on the one we had with Mambure and Boa Sedi. He's been very helpful, no doubt.
Oh, good.
And I think we have to start going through him again. He's what I would call the nexus between us, the diaspora, and things that are happening in the Gambia. It's good to see you, sir. You look well.
Good to see you too. Thank you very much. I think it's fair to say that I am recovering now. If you had seen me a couple of days ago,
right,
I look like a shadow of my former self. Definitely. The summit preparations and things related to it had a big toll on me, to be honest.
I can imagine.
But thank God, definitely we are recouping. Alhamdulillah, definitely.
Congratulations, Fali, and thank you for joining us today. So,
Mr. Maron, thank you very much. Thank you, much appreciated. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, great.
We're joined by our elders in the on this platform. I mean, he's at work, but he's like, "You guys are getting Mr. Fadera. I am not going to miss it for the world." You.
Uncle Coach, how are you?
Brother, how are you?
I'm good too, Alhamdulillah. Also, maybe it's a good time to say happy anniversary to all of you. I realize that this is your your anniversary commemoration. I don't know how many years?
A decade, 10 years. 10 years
Whoa, wow.
ago.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say it's an institution now.
Yes, it is.
Much more than a platform, definitely.
Without a doubt. He's our historian. He called me this morning and all he said, I'm going to be telling I'm 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's significant.
The irony of it too is 8 years ago today was when banker Alaji Baro Charonjai Papa Fall were also sentenced in Minnesota. And the reason why I brought that up is the reason why Musa and I are here and Syrian, of course, joining us was because of that case. Because he used to be by banker. But when that happened, we cannot let this so just die. We have to continue this process, and the rest is history. But thank you
Wow.
for, and thank you to all those that have been following us for the past 10 years. And I know Musa Jeng owes the UDP people a lot of apologies for all the headaches that he has given you over the past 8 or so years.
Oh my God, these are my cousins. We have this strange relationship.
Yeah, but guys, we'll rejoin you soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Brother Sayang, I'll let you.
Yes, sir.
Like I told you, I was at the Gamo last night. We did a lot of
I
prayers.
hear you. Yes. So Musa, I think as we usually do, today is Mother's Day, and we like to recognize all the mothers and happy Mother's Day to all of them. But also, I would like to highlight our legal correspondent and analyst.
Yes.
Mr. Sadio Barrow was appointed as first Gambian immigration judge in the United States, and we'd like to congratulate him. And he did his contribution on this platform. He has a very sharp mind, a legal mind, and wish him all the best. And all the graduates, we saw a lot of graduates on Facebook as well. So we'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of for the People by the People team to congratulate all the graduates, Mr. Sadio Barrow, and also, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Yes, Sari, and I'm glad you remind me, because I want to make sure that I have a nice lunch after this platform. Would like to extend Happy Mother's Day to my wife and all the mothers that are out there. And I see one of our, Avet every Sunday she's here with us, Fatu Kamara. It is Mariama's mom. Happy Mother's Day. She's indeed one of the mothers that are out there in Tukulosi, and I could just go through the names that are out there. Happy Mother's Day to all the followers of this program. And again, like you said, congratulations to Sadio Barrow. Really, Sadio, like we say back home, yal nala jik si daraja yonti Yalla Muhammad, daraja Makkah ak Medina. Definitely, we are all proud as Gambians. And my sister is out there, Nene Frida Gomez. Happy Mother's Day, my girl. Happy Mother's Day. Definitely. So Young, I'll let you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Fali. As I said, we appreciate you joining us. And a lot of people see you on TV, and especially during OIC or before OIC. But would like you to give us a brief intro. Who is Fali, and where you came from, your professional background, and everything else.
Wow. I don't get to talk a lot about myself, and because of that, it's difficult to do so. But I'll try. But firstly, I want to join you. But maybe just to formally begin by saying happy anniversary to you guys. I know I've mentioned that before, but it feels like we are officially entering commencing this show. So I would like to begin with that, but also to join you to say happy Mother's Day to all mothers out there, including my beloved wife, currently in Seattle, mother of my kids, and also my own mom, my grandmother, and everyone else that is a mom out there joining us today or elsewhere. And also want to join you to congratulate Mr. Barrow, Sadio, a big brother of mine, a good one for that matter, very helpful indeed. I think his new appointment is a moment of pride for all of us, all Gambians indeed. So now coming back to your question, my name is Nfally Fadera. I am a communication practitioner, currently working for the Gambia OIC Secretariat as the head of communication and branding. I come from a media background, naturally, radio particularly. I started my radio career, I think about 13, 14 years ago, 2010. I used to do news in Mandinka, started off at Taranga FM radio, worked there for about 2-3 years. Then the radio got shut down by the previous government, the previous Jammeh regime. apparently for the show becoming too popular and radio also going into uncharted territories, because this was at a time when divergent views were not popular. So James shut down a radio station, and then I moved from Taranga FM. I went to Star FM. I worked at Star FM for about 2-3 years, and then I decided to go into freelance broadcasting. I think it is safe to say I am one of the first Gambian podcasters online. I opened my podcast online on SoundCloud, and then I was doing my news there because I thought there was a huge audience in the diaspora. This was at a time when a lot of Gambians were moving from home to Europe largely, and I thought there will be huge interest in doing news in the local language, targeting the diaspora, the European audience. And then this was coming on SoundCloud up to a certain point. Then I also started doing it on Facebook Live video. But still on my career trajectory I also work for the University of the Gambia. I worked for the UTG for about 4 years as the Vice Chancellor's personal assistant. I served Professor Ka, I served Prof. Khalil, I served Jenu Mane, and I think Dr. Ja or something like that. I think he's now a professor or something. And then around 2016, I got a scholarship to study in the UK, courtesy of the UK government, the Chevening Scholarship. And when I came back from studies, then I worked for the Office of the President as Senior Communication Officer before being seconded to the OIC, where I am currently serving. So this is who I am in terms of my professional background and my educational journey. I am a Nyominka from Jokadu. I was born and raised in Welingara. That's where I have been until the time that I went for studies and came back. So pretty much this is who I am, really. I don't know if I've left anything out, but largely this is my journey, my humble journey. Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Fadera. Mr. Fadera, you highlighted your position at OIC. And if you can sort of share with our viewers, what is your responsibility and also the reporting structure, how, OIC Secretariat, communicate with the Office of the President in setting up leading to this conference?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Like I said, my current role, my official title is Head of Brand and Communication. So what I do here is provide leadership in all areas of branding, communication, media relations, our public affairs, and everything else in between. And I also, in my capacity as the Head of Brand and Communication, I also serve as the spokesperson for the organization. But in relation to the summit, my role kind of tilted a bit to include all other matters that were connected to conferencing. Some in the area of logistics, some also in the area of generally making sure that what we need is in place, and also kind of coordinating between the different committees that we have and the secretariat. And in terms of the office, the Gambia OIC Secretariat is set up by an Act of Parliament. We are under the Office of the President. We are governed by a board. The chairperson of the board is the President of the Republic, and other board members are cabinet ministers that have relevant stake in the OIC summit planning and production, such as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Works, etc., etc. I think principally about 8 ministers or so form as part of the original board members of the OIC. But in the end, as we move towards the summit, the scope expanded to include other ministries and other senior officials that are relevant to what we are doing. So in terms of our work, this is who the OIC is, in terms of our structure. But in terms of our mandate is divided principally into 3 fundamental areas. The first one is resource mobilization, and the second one is to coordinate and oversee the implementation of infrastructure projects to bridge the infrastructure deficit of the country in preparation for the summit. And the third mandate is to oversee the events planning of the summit itself. This is the softer component of our work, where we have to work with the different committees that we have to make sure whatever we need in terms of logistics, the administration, the administrative requirements, everything is in place. So basically, this is who we are. And if you look at the nature of our work, this is the format it took. In the beginning, when we were set up, our work was largely along the lines of resource mobilization and fundraising, going around the world, talking to friendly countries, reaching out to partner organizations, talking to them, having them believe in our vision and our projects. We mobilized those funds, and thankfully, we ended up making more than $350 million US for all the projects that, all the strategic projects that we identified for ourselves. And then we went into the infrastructure implementation. This is as it relates to the roadworks, the construction of the VVIP lounge at the airport, the water and electricity component for NAWIC, the construction of the conference center, etc. And then the summit planning bit, which has to do with the events planning. So principally, this is what the OIC is about. And in addition to the board, we have a secretariat, and the secretariat is headed by a chief executive officer, assisted by a deputy chief executive officer, and a team of managers, the senior management team. Then we have the rest of the staff. So all in all, we are about, I think, 16, 17. We have a very lean structure, but a very effective team nonetheless.
All right, Mr. Nfally, thank you. The audience, they wanted to know, and in particular, you mentioned about studying in UK, but what was your specialty as far as your academic qualification?
I studied communication in the UK. Precisely, I went to the University of Westminster, and the name of my course was Communication Policy. That's what I did. And for my thesis, I looked at the role of social media in political mobilization, focusing on the 2016 elections, how political parties and politicians use social media to rally support, but also to mobilize the public. So basically that's it as far as my course was concerned. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Paramos.
Mr. Fadera, again, welcome to the 40 People by the People. The OIC.
Yes.
The OIC has become what I would call the lexicon within the Gambian community for the past several years. We've always been talking about OIC. And everyone, they all have their own opinion about the OIC. Now we are looking at post-OIC. How would you define success?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeng. I kind of struggled to hear you. Yes, the line was not very clear from my end. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but if I understand your question well, you said in relation to post-OIC summit, how does success look like to us? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
Can people hear me though?
Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, we can. You are in and out. I think probably you need to kind of be close to the computer or something. Yes. But yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to answer your question, I think it's a very important question to begin with. To answer your question, what success looks like to us is Gambia carrying out its mandate and its obligation and its obligations as far as being the host country for the summit. What I usually tell people, in order to measure success, you must have key performance indicators. You must have yardsticks. You must have expectations. And going into the summit planning, our goal or our responsibility as a host country has largely to do with making sure the needed logistical, administrative, protocol arrangements that are needed for a successful event are in place. And if we look back on what we have done, we look back on our performance with great satisfaction. when you look at these key areas that I have highlighted, we made sure that the guests came and they were they had a very befitting and a very nice reception and time here in the Gambia. If you look at the things that we were obliged to do as host country, is to make sure we take care of the accommodation for the guests that we were expecting, is to make sure the airport reception is as smooth as possible, is to make sure the guests are transported from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the conference center and back to their residences, is to make sure that the guests are well fed, is to make sure we provide a conference facility that will be there to facilitate the work of the conference goers. And if you look at all these areas, alhamdulillah, we did a great job. I think we've in fact exceeded the expectations of the organizers. We had all the areas taken care of, all these important factors that I mentioned. So for us, as far as we are concerned as a secretariat, as far as we are concerned as an organizing committee, as a government, it was indeed a huge success. And this was the sentiment, the same sentiment expressed by the organizers and the guests that we anticipate that we had here in the country. So in every respect, alhamdulillah, definitely there are areas of improvement and things that we can learn from. But nonetheless, generally, we are very much happy with the way things went, much to the commendation of everybody that was involved.
Yeah, Mr. Fadera, in your response to Sarian, you talked about the mobilization of $350 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money. To an average Gambian, they're like, I have a government that went out there and mobilized $350 million for an event. And the average Gambian in Japine or in Kayaf would say, what's in it for me? What do I have to show for it? What would you tell them? Is it really worth it to spend $350 million to an average Gambian, 80% poverty all over the place?
Yeah, yes, that's a very important question. I think $350 million, if you ask me, is money well spent, because this $350 million went into projects that would improve and impact significantly lives and livelihoods in this country beyond the hosting of the summit. So what I usually tell people is that if you look at the nature of all these projects that we've been working on, they are such that they are legacy projects. The benefit and the impact of these projects will transcend the hosting of the summit. The summit, give and take, was less than 10 days in terms of all the preparations, the arrivals, the meetings, etc., up to the point of departure. It was not more than 10 days. But going into the drawing board, putting these projects together, our focus was that these projects will be meaningless, or this coming of the summit will be meaningless if it is not linked to the welfare and the well-being of the people of this country. And if you look at these projects that we are talking about, they have started impacting and benefiting Gambians in significant ways. Let's take, for example, the Batil Hardin Highway. I don't know when was the last time you came here, but the Batil Hardin Highway is one of the single biggest important projects that we have in our lifetime in this country. The road has been expanded from a single carriage double lane highway to a 6-lane highway. Now, moving from point A to point B in the greater Banjul area, especially those that live around Brusubi, Senegambia, Fadera, is very, very quick and fast. I moved from where I lived in Brusubi to my office here to be able to have this interview in less than 10 minutes. So you can see that, we are feeling the impact already. That is number one. Number two, look at the conference center, the Sadara Karabajora International Conference Center. Right now, it is moving to position the Gambia as one of the leading conference destinations in the sub-region. Most international organizations, be it the African Union, be it the UN, they are now turning to Gambia for their annual meetings. And, we had the Africa Central Bank Governors annual meetings also held here. We had the first ever Africa Muslim World League Ulama conference in Africa held in the Gambia. So you can see that, the projects are beginning to pay dividend. Our office is also managing the Sadora Karaba Jawara International Conference Center, and just last year, what we made in terms of revenue is more than $100 million. So you can see that it is going to be better. It is going to continue to impact lives and livelihood. And also, as part of the projects that we have, as part of this 350 million, we've managed to raise up to $32 million for NAWIC to invest into the energy generation and distribution capacity of the company. So, and then you look at the other aspect of the work that we are going to do, the impact of the VVIP Lounge project as well. So all of these things are strategic projects that were designed to benefit Gambians long after the summit is gone. None of these projects are summit-centric. They are all designed to make sure that their impact is here for the long term in a way that it will benefit Gambians long after the summit is gone. And we are beginning to see these things impact in real life. So what I usually tell people is that the hosting of the summit itself is not the end. It's just the beginning. It's not an end in and of itself. It's just the beginning of what is possible. That is why I tell people, if you want to look at the impact of the OIC and the benefit attached to it, just by looking at the summit itself, you are going to miss the point. That's going to be quite limiting and myopic, in the sense that the benefit there would be here long after the summit is gone. We are talking about a minimum lifespan of 25 to 30 years for the Battle Hardened Highway project. And if you look at other projects also, they will be here to benefit this country. That is number one in the area of the infrastructure benefit of the summit coming to the country. Now, let's look at the geopolitical significance of the summit coming to Gambia, what it will do for the country. Gambia is a small country, and small countries, usually, they have to work twice harder to be able to make their mark on the international stage. But here we are as a country, small as we may be, we have a unique opportunity to become a significant player in terms of the geopolitics and world politics. In fact, by virtue of us hosting the summit, Gambia had the world's attention, literally. We were in the news all over the world, all around the cable news. We were on Al Jazeera and other media houses. That in and of itself, it's good opportunity for the Gambia to shine and showcase itself. I also like to tell people all the 2,500 to 3,000 delegates that came and attended the summit, each one of those people would go back with their own unique stories about the Gambia, their experiences that they had here. And I'm sure all the guests had a good time here, because that is what they told us in our private conversations with them. In fact, most of them confessed that had they known what they had seen, they were even going to increase maybe perhaps their level of representation to the country. So you can see that all these people will end up becoming ambassadors for the country, which is also another good opportunity. Gambia will also host the OIC for the next 3 years. That will also give us a unique opportunity to strengthen our position on the world stage globally, because whatever happens in the Muslim Ummah, in the Islamic world, in the OIC, the whole world and the organization will look to Gambia for leadership. Gambia would also have the opportunity to influence a lot of decision-making as far as the OIC is concerned. And what this means in real time is that most OIC meetings, whether it is the Council of Foreign Ministers meetings, whether it is OIC exhibitions, whether it is OIC extraordinary summits, etc., all these things, Gambia will have a sort of a force refusal kind of, to be able to, attract the Ummah, and also will be in the driving force, making sure that, whatever agenda the Ummah is part of, the Gambia's reputation, interest, and the interest of the African bloc of the organization is protected. So it's huge in many respects. And I think we cannot also quantify it in monetary terms, the impact that the coming of the summit will have for us now and in the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fadera. Sorry.
So, Mr. Fadera, thank you very much. And I will continue on that line of questioning. As Musa said, I think the key areas that you highlighted is more in the urban area. So now, if we are talking about priority. What were the key priority deliverables for the OIC summit?
Mm-hmm. No, in terms of I think the benefits that I highlighted are benefits that will benefit all and sundry, regardless of where you are in the country. The value proposition that the Gambia will have as by virtue of our chairmanship and our leadership of the OIC would benefit all of us, more importantly. But even if you look at these infrastructure projects, to be honest, they are largely based around the Greater Banjul area. But then I think the ripple effects would impact everybody, whether you are in the Greater Banjul area or not. For example, what we have been able to do, or what we have been able to do for NAWEC, raising $32 million for them, or the revenue that we would continue to generate by virtue of our position as a conference destination, all of these things will be plowed back into Gambians, regardless of where they live, and giving NAWEC resources to be able to improve their energy generation and distribution capacity would also impact everybody. So in my view, whether or not you are in the Greater Banjul area, it just happened that Greater Banjul area happened to be the summit impact zone. And we needed to make sure that the summit impact zone is in a situation, it's in a situation where the summit can come and get facilitated to be able to do their summit as smoothly as possible. But in my view, the impact of the summit would impact and benefit all of us, whether you are here in the Greater Banjul area or elsewhere in the country.
All right, thank you. So in terms of the economic impact, so say, people with small business, vendors, women-owned businesses, how do you guys go about in terms of, because there were a lot of items that needs to be set up for the event to be successful. How do you go about selecting, if per se, Gambian-owned businesses? How many would you say, even on a high level, benefited from such a summit?
Yeah. No, in fact, Mr. Marong, I think that's a very good question because I almost forgot about the direct benefits that Gambian companies had as part of our preparations. Maybe I should take a step back before even coming to the summit preparation itself and how it contributed to our local economy more directly. Let's look at the infrastructure projects that we even roll out in preparation for this summit. Most of these projects, in fact, all of them, we require Gambian partnership. We require local content. Even contracts where we knew Gambian companies did not have the capacity to carry out, and by virtue of that, we were forced to recruit international companies to carry out. For example, the widening of the Batil Hadin Highway, given to the 50-kilometer project and the NAWEC project. These are all projects that we require those companies to partner with Gambians in order to be able to carry them out. So you can see that most of the projects that we were able to roll out in preparation of the summit, we require those international companies to partner with Gambian companies. The reason being that we want knowledge transfer. We want our companies to be able to have a track record that they can ride on, to be able to have contracts of this nature, either here in the future or elsewhere in the sub-region. And also to have some of the funds also retained in the country. That is one of the things that we did with almost most of the projects that we oversaw, including the road projects, the water and electricity project that we've issued to NAWEC, the airport lounge project, etc., etc. So away from the infrastructure projects, now to the summit planning itself. All the companies that we work with, the companies that were responsible for the logistics, the tents that were mounted, it was a Gambian company. The company that we hired to ensure that the conference center is renovated and painted, a Gambian company. The company that was responsible for the industrial cleaning of the conference center was a Gambian company. The company that did the uniforms for the army and the security services, the asobis for the protocol officers, the drivers, etc. Even the company that we hired to be able to buy some security apparatuses for our security services in preparation for the summit. All of these companies, so virtually 90 to 95% of the companies that were involved in the summit planning, in the events planning of the summit, were all Gambian companies. And these are all companies that benefited in a very significant way. And even if you look at the way that we handle the issue of accommodation, the accommodation situation was handled in such a way that the players were diverse. Not only did we work with hotel owners, but we also work with apartment owners, and some residents and private residential villas in the country. So you can see that local companies benefited significantly in our preparations for the summit.
Thank you. Faramos, go ahead.
Mr. Fadera, you have your critics, and these are Gambians that are also very patriotic. They would like to see something and be proud of it.
Yeah.
They do believe for $350 million, whatever reason, they believe that our country was not ready for something like this. Whether you're looking at the infrastructure, up to the last minute, lines were being drawn on the highway. Up to the last minute, housing was a problem. Up to the last minute, transportation was a problem. Were you guys ready? Did you underestimate it? Are you telling us that the timeline, everything that you guys projected that it would happen in 2024, you guys were able to get it done? Were you guys really ready? Or did you just scramble in the last minute to make sure that you get it done? What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that all the projects that we earmarked for the summit were not completed 100% in time before the summit, but nonetheless, some were completed. But I think in spite of that, what is most important is we were able to deliver on all the logistical requirements that we set ourselves, all the logistical obligations that we had, even though the issue of the accommodation was being sorted all the way through to the end. At the end of the day, what matters is that all the guests were accommodated and were accommodated in befitting facilities. The issue of the highway, it is still being constructed. Never did we anticipate the Badil Hardin highway to be completed 100% before the summit. In fact, that is why originally we had the project divided into phases. So phase 1 was supposed to cover all the way to the Senegambia area, such that once the summit is upon us, wherever we stop with the construction, wherever the summit finds us, we will just stop there, do the summit, and afterwards we continue. But to our surprise, the contractors of the Badil Hardin Highway did a fantastic job. They were able to cover, more grounds than we had hoped. In fact, now, as I speak to you, they are now laying the asphalt all the way to the finishing point at Sincona. So I think the most important thing is we ended up prevailing. We ended up finding solutions. What ended up happening, we had a lot of delays, to be fair, but all those delays also were not our making directly. Correct. But the most important thing here is that, going by the adage, when life throws lemons at you, you make lemonade out of it. So we had this challenge. We had to be innovative. We had to rise to it, and that is what we did. Even though some of the solutions.
Yeah, I think we just lost Nfally. Hopefully, he'll be coming back soon. Yeah, there he is.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, I mistakenly ejected myself.
I'm thinking for the $350 million, your internet should be up and running, my brother.
No, it's not the internet. I think it's the way that I'm gesturing my hands. I mistakenly pressed the
okay.
Leave Studio, yes.
Okay.
Leave Studio button, yeah. So our internet is doing absolutely all right. It's fine.
I hear you.
Yes. So, but just to also, on that point, just to clarify, the $350 million that I referenced is the money that we raise in relation to the infrastructure projects. It is not the money that we spent on the events planning. Okay. The events planning was not up to $350 million US. It was just $500 million, and that went into all the logistics and all the administrative requirements that we needed to put in place, such as vehicles, the accommodation, the feeding, and all other things that we needed at the time.
Yeah, Mr. Freda, Mr. Freda. Nfally, there were a couple of things that were out there that maybe needs clarification.
Yes.
One has to do with these, the number of cars that were actually purchased. Most Gambians, they're like, even myself included, trying to put my arms around it. I understand that when some quarter says 100 cars, some said, I think the Minister of Information clarified and said it was 87 cars. And the money that people are throwing out there on social media, that the cars cost $12 million, which is almost $185,000. And I'm like, are you really? Seriously? Is there any way that you can set light on that particular issue? Because people are out there grappling, saying that this is the kind of wastage we're talking about. How, in God's name, can you buy a single vehicle, whatever the vehicle is, for $185,000? Even the supporters of the OIC are grappling with that. Can you help us with answers?
In relation to the vehicles you mentioned, I cannot specifically and authoritatively talk about that subject matter because the procurement of those vehicles took place under the auspices of the Ministry of Finance. So our office was not in any way involved in the purchase and the procurement of those vehicles. So I do not know how much the vehicles cost and how much money and how it was procured. But what I do know is that by virtue of the obligation on us as a host country, we were required to provide transportation facilities for the guests that we expect. And as part of that expectation also, we needed to provide vehicles that match in luxury to the status of the guests that we were expecting. So that is what compelled the government of the Gambia to go into, a variety of, to consider a variety of solutions to make sure we meet that requirement. So that is why, some vehicles were purchased, some were given to us by a friendly country, and then the rest also we rented them. So to come back to your question more directly, I do not have the competence to address the subject matter of the vehicles that were purchased and the cost involved because our office was not involved, and I am not privy to, the relevant information regarding how they were purchased.
Yeah, I want to just press a little bit. I understand you mentioned that, and then most reasonable people, if you are inviting guests to your house, you want to make sure that they have expectations, but they also understand the place that they were coming to, that Gambia is an extremely poor country. And whatever the expectations are, whatever kind of vehicles we're going to go out there and purchase, whether it's the Emir or somebody coming from Saudi Arabia, we will never be able to impress them. And could we have just said, look, we are a poor country. Ooh, what happened? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I think I just went out there for a minute. That we are a poor country, and we're going to provide transportation to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
Could that have been a consideration? Yeah. And not necessarily to go out of limb to give them what we think their expectations are. Sorry, I just get distracted a little bit. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, I think, that's a fair point. And I'm sure you're also probably aware that there are more expensive vehicles than the vehicles that we are talking about out there. So in my view, this is, as far as our own assessment, befitting vehicles, good enough to be able to ferry and transport the guests that we anticipated. Gambia, even for us at the level of the Secretariat, we are aware of our own limitations. We know what we are capable of as a country, and we are also very much conscious of that. And, we know all too well that we needed not to stress ourselves beyond our capacity and our capability. So I can assure you that to a very large extent, we had that consideration in mind, that there is nothing that we can do that will impress these people beyond what they are already used to. So we just have to act within our own means. But with acting within our own means also means making sure that our obligation as a host country, we live up to it. When Gambia decided to accept to host the OIC summit, we knew all too well that there were certain expectations that were expected of us, reasonable expectations. And that includes providing befitting transportation facilities for the people that we expect. So in my view, I'm not really sure about the amount of money that went into the vehicles that we are talking about, but I know that the vehicles were of good standard, and that they were good enough to be able to.
So would you say you don't know how much money that was spent, and that's fair enough, really.
Yes.
Sorry about that. But if, let's say, for instance, $12 million on average was spent on those cars, $185,000. You as Fadera, does that make sense to you? I mean, I'm just putting it out to you. Like, there are people that are out there and they're kind of trying to grapple with this issue. Now, you hearing it for the first time, seeing it on, do you think that makes sense to spend $180,000 on a vehicle?
Mr. Jeng, with all due respect, what I think in my personal capacity does not matter, to be honest.
But it does. You're a citizen.
I am here speaking for and on behalf of the Gambia OIC Secretariat. And if you ask me, I try to answer that. That what we needed, as what we required as the organizers, was to make sure we had befitting transportation facilities for the guests that we had. And if you ask me, without speculating on the price and the money involved, if you ask me, the vehicles that we had indeed were of befitting status to ferry the people that we had, the guests that we had. And it did just that. The guests were very much pleased with the level of logistics and the administrative arrangements we had put in place to facilitate their stay and the meetings here at the conference center.
Fair enough, Mr. Fadera. Thank you very much. So,
thank you, Mr. Fadera. Mr. Fadera, I still have to press on the on the 350 million, because I guess a lot of the viewers are still saying, okay, if we're talking about carton to coiner, we talk about the infrastructure development, and you kind of highlighted the contracts that are being awarded to the local owned businesses. We appreciate that, and also differentiating what was raised for the build up, and also to sponsor the conference as well. But Mr. Fadera, we always talk about what is in for me, and some people goes as far as making comparison between when Senegal hosted the OIC and Gambia, the benefit, and yes, these are long-term projects, but folks say people in your own area, in Yomi, I mean, because during this time we had a major challenge is people crossing the ferry and stuff like that. It would be nice. I mean, I think the primary area is, the people who are able to come out there and sell their goods and showcase what the Gambia is all about, and also forge partnership, a long-term partners. I mean, in terms of economy, in terms of security and all that. These are negotiations that you can get a lot out of it. So my question to you is, what do you think was the pitfall? How come this has not, because I saw some of your partners who were part of the OIC before say, this is supposed to be a nationwide impact. Everybody should be talking about it one way or the other. But you feel like some people will say, hey, I didn't feel that I mean, it was one-sided, and the people who need to feel, and I want you to set the record straight. This is not, I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but you're the expert. Can you lay us out how you can say, besides the infrastructure, what has it benefit folks from rural Gambia, the Combos, and elsewhere?
No, but Mr. Marong, I think I attempted to answer that earlier on when I was looking more generally at the benefit of this summit coming to this country. Like I said, I think in terms of visibility, in terms of the impact of the summit, I think it is fair to say everybody in the country here definitely knew that something was happening, something unprecedented was happening. We endeavored to make sure everybody, regardless of where you are in the country and regardless of our linguistic identities, everybody participated in equal measure in the summit. We had a lot of public engagement activities geared towards that. We had a lot of quite a good number of our media public engagement activities were aimed at making sure the public is part of it, and they felt, you know, that this requires the participation of all of us, and to a very large extent, we achieved that. But in terms of the impact, I think, like I said, the coming of the summit in and of itself is not the end. I know a lot went into the preparations, and in the run up to the event, a lot of people had anticipated a lot of things. Even in Senegal, the impact of the OIC hosting in Senegal did not just stop with the summit. In fact, the summit was just the beginning. There is a reason why Senegal hired a floating boat as part of their summit logistics, because a lot of the hotels that they had planned for the summit were not completed. In fact, you know, up to the time of the summit taking place in Senegal, most of the major roadworks were not completed. But people begin to appreciate and see the benefit of and the impact of the summit after the summit was concluded. And this is going to be the case for the Gambia. I mentioned it earlier on. The Badil Hardin Highway construction is ongoing. It is not completed 100%. You know, other road projects are also being implemented. And more broadly also, the Gambia OIC relationship is also just beginning. The conclusion of the summit is just the beginning of what is possible between Gambia and the OIC. I believe that very strongly, and I can see how it will impact us as a country and the people that are in the country as well. I am aware that there are efforts to ensure that our chairmanship would have huge dividend for us, or huge impact or benefit for us as a country. The government is looking at making sure the private sector, the CSO, the public sector, everybody is engaged in making sure we leverage the opportunity that we have, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we have to be at the helm of the OIC leadership. So to answer you more directly, people would begin to, even though some of the immediate benefit and the impact is being felt, but people will begin to appreciate the summit and our involvement with the OIC, the leadership, the chairmanship, and all those things. We will begin to appreciate it more as we move on in the next few months and years to come. Definitely, I'm very hopeful for the future. I'm very, very optimistic that Gambia will stand to benefit a lot, because I know that the OIC is a very proactive organization, and the OIC is also involved in quite a range of issues bordering on socioeconomic and human development all over the world. You know, the OIC is in the area of research, science, and technology. They are in the area of innovation. They are in the area of trade cooperation. You know, they are in the area of cultural promotion. They are into a lot of things that I can see Gambia benefiting from. And I think it is up to us as a country to make sure it is not a waste, it is not a missed opportunity. And for me, from where I am standing, from a personal point of view, I think, you know, all of us should come together, be it the diaspora, the civil society, the private sector, the government. We should all come together in the form of a national conference and have a conversation around how we can best leverage this once-in-a-lifetime opportunities that we have. That is to be the chair in the helm of the OIC leadership. So I think the possibilities are huge, and this is just the beginning.
Thank you, Mr. Fadera. Mr. Fadera, the other question I wanted to ask, and I respect your answer, saying you don't know, you can't talk much about the vehicles that were purchased. But I wanted to ask, though, what is the criteria for hosting such an event? And you mentioned something about we have to meet the expectations of the delegates that are coming in here. But at the same time, there was discussions that, you know, I believe Saudi government was supposed to give about 100 vehicles, and that didn't fall through. Now, as Musa said, Gambia is a very, very small country, and it's very, very poor. With that expectation and Gambia willing to host, I think when we think about this, who's supposed to actually sponsor these events? Does it come from the delegate or major donors, or how does all the logistics aspect come together?
In terms of the sponsorship of the summit, to answer your question simply, the sponsorship of the summit is expected to come from the host country. It's not correct, or I think a lot of people assume just because we hosted it on behalf of the OIC doled us money. There was no money from the OIC for us to contribute to the logistical and the other arrangements that we had in place. The member countries also were under no obligation to give us money. So what happens is that once the Gambia was confirmed to be the host, what the OIC as an organization did and could do was to pass a resolution unanimously at the Makkah Summit in 2019. I was there, where it encouraged member countries and OIC affiliated organizations to support Gambia in its bid to host a successful summit. So no country or no OIC affiliated organization or the OIC itself was under obligation to finance or sponsor any of our events planning. So the onus is on us as a host country to make sure we provide all those logistical and administrative requirements that we had. So that was why one of the mandates of our office was to go out there and raise resources. So we used the goodwill of the OIC, reach out to OIC member countries through bilateral means and OIC affiliated organizations, present our proposals to them, our vision, and hope that they would buy into it. So that is what happened in these cases. That is what happened with the resources that we were able to raise through bilateral means, but also through multilateral means, such as these international financial organizations that are affiliated with the OIC. So you mentioned that Saudi at some point promised to buy 100 vehicles for us. I'm not privy to that information, and I'm not saying it is wrong. But what I do also know is that a lot of countries also pledged to do a lot of things, but they did not materialize. So if you understand these things, and these pledges, most of these pledges came before COVID. And with the advent of COVID, a lot of things change in the world. And also there is donor fatigue. COVID was such that countries had to spend a lot of money to respond to it. After COVID-19, a whole lot of stuff's changed. Donor fatigue crept in. And now most of these Arab countries don't just dole out money like that. They have now, in the words of somebody else, they have now woken up. What they do, instead of giving grants and dole monies as charities, they give them as loans, bankable projects where they will have they will reap the dividend sometime in the future. So all of those things contributed. But more importantly, to answer your question more directly, Gambia, no other country was under any obligation or organization to support Gambia. It was up to us as a host country, because accepting to host the summit comes with those expectations that you will make sure that the guests that are coming will be facilitated in terms of whatever logistical and administrative needs that they may have to be able to participate in a seamless manner in the sessions of the summit.
Thank you. Faramos, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Fadera, again, we thank you immensely. We don't sound like
you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
To only raise negativity, because there is no doubt that most of us as Gambians, we're all proud of what happened.
No. These are vital questions. These are vital questions, and as officers, we are accountable to the people, and we encourage these kind of conversations, definitely, because what we realize is that largely the misinformation that we have out there, in most cases, do not come from positions of ill will. It's just out of people not knowing what the true picture of the matter is. But nonetheless, you also have people that are out there bent on deliberately misleading people. So we always welcome the opportunity to interface with the public through the media, to have these kind of conversations.
So talking about that, the guy that had your job was Mr. Nyangai. I'm not sure whether you were privy to some of the issues that he raised. I'm just trying to scroll down here. He called it, well, anyway, let me just go back to it. Mr. Nyangai, he had your job before, and this is what he said. He said, the first critical deliverable before embarking on an infrastructure work was the enactment of a local content legislation. This law would have empowered indigenous contractors to partner with international firms. That was one of the key deliverables he said it was missing. The second deliverable, according to Njai, was to establish a sovereign wealth fund to manage the assets, meaning the hotel conference center, the lounge, and so forth. And he said the third deliverable was to partner with a big name hotel, the Radissons, the Marriott, the Hiltons. And this was the third deliverable, he said. The fourth deliverable, according to Jai, was the water treatment facility was also promised to serve hotels and residents from Sheraton to Cape Point, and a new borehole field in Sanyang. And then he went on. 110 vehicles were also solicited from the Saudis to assist in the movement of delegates, as it was the responsibility of the host nation to provide a minimum of 3 cars per delegation, which has something to do with the question that my colleague asked. And he then went on, Gambians in all sectors, he calls it the economic dividends, that the locals were supposed to benefit from it, but it looks like most of it went to foreigners, according to Yai. And then he talked about a web portal was to be built to offer a two-way service. Again, I'm not sure whether you're privy to, he talked about the enactment of a local content legislation. He talked about establishment of a sovereign wealth fund. Partnering with big name hotels. He talked about water treatment facility. He talked about economic dividend and a web portal. If these were the big deliverables for the OIC, one looking at it would say, I don't know whether I would call this a success. What say you?
First of all, I want to disagree completely with his assessment that the benefit of this OIC project went to foreign companies. In fact, I said earlier on that 90 to 95% of the contracts that were awarded as part of the events planning in preparation for the summit went to Gambian companies. So I don't know how and which, of the I don't know what he meant when he said, if I get you right, that most of the benefit went to foreign companies. I would really welcome for him to clarify that and make that clear.
Okay.
For the
just to be fair to him, this is what he said. Just to be fair,
yes,
he said, Gambians on all sectors should have registered economic dividend in us hosting the summit. But sadly, some of these dividends went to foreign nationals who in turn subcontract to local expertise to execute the assigned task. He said foreign nationals were given and then they subcontract Gambians instead of directly going to Gambians.
Again, I think that is not correct. But like I said, I would welcome a further clarification on what he meant by that. And also, I would challenge him to also to mention specifically which foreign companies. In fact, he said some, which in my view is in reference to a significant number. And I am somebody who is intimately involved in the organizing and the planning of the summit. And I know the whole arrangement in relation to the contracting, in relation to the summit planning and the production itself. I can tell you here authoritatively that 90 to 95% of the contracts that were issued as part of our event planning went to Gambian companies. And in most cases, companies owned by young people. I mentioned some of the things that we dole out. These are all young companies that are owned by individuals. But more generally, I disagree with a lot of the things that he mentioned. And I also would like to say some of the things that he mentioned we have already accomplished. The issue of local content. We needed not to have a legislation in place for us to encourage international companies to work with our local companies. I mentioned that from the beginning that was exactly what we did. Most of the mega infrastructure projects that were awarded to international companies was given to companies that had Gambian companies as their local partners. That was a requirement. We required these companies to work with local companies as part of that local content that he referenced there. That is one issue. The issue of a sovereign wealth fund, we can debate that because these projects that we are talking about here, they are all financed separately. They are all financed individually. Their payment terms, their financing terms are all unique. They are unique and basically not the same. So I am not really sure about that, how we can have a sovereign wealth fund. I think, it may be a good idea. But like I said, it's also something that may be up for consideration. But I know that most of these companies are funded separately. Their financing terms are also very much different. So I'm not really sure about having a sovereign wealth fund to be able to manage all of them under one umbrella. The issue of branded hotels, I guess that's what we had anticipated to do with the concession agreement that we signed with a private investor to construct and establish the Radisson Blu hotel that we all know about. So it just happened that the hotel could not materialize in time for the summit, but definitely we had moved in that direction. And to the best of my knowledge, that hotel project is still being implemented. There's a special purpose vehicle that has been set up purposely to oversee the construction of that hotel project. And to the best of my knowledge, construction work is still ongoing. So the issue of the water treatment plant, that is also something that we have accomplished. The $32 million that I talked about is part of it is for NAWEC water, another and the other part for the NAWEC electricity. So if my memory serves me right, $10 million is for the water component, and the 12 million is for the electricity component. And one of the scope of work for the water electricity component of the NAWEC project includes the construction of a new water treatment plant. It includes the replacement of NAWEC's distribution network, the pipe networks that distribute water across the Greater Banjul area and elsewhere. So that we have definitely accomplished. And then the issue of the what is the other thing? The web portal.
The web portal, yeah.
The web portal is exactly what we have done. We managed to build a website, a purpose-built website for the summit, and the website was serving two purposes: general information purposes, but also delegates management. All the delegates that came to the summit were required to register online, and all of them registered online, including the president. They all registered online. So we have that portal in place, and we have that data also with us. And we were able to manage the accreditation and the registration process all by ourselves here at the level of the Secretariat. So going by his own yardstick, definitely we have accomplished most of these things that we have set out for ourselves, and even more. We were able to do more than some of these things that were that he mentioned, that you referenced in your question. So that is why I said, when we look back on our performance, when we look back on what we have done in terms of the logistics, in terms of the administrative requirements, definitely we have done a great job, much to the satisfaction and delight of our organizers, but also the guests that we had anticipated.
So, Mr. Fadera,
yes.
suma mbokki fana ñu ne fu ne gannaaw lamb gi jeex na. Everything is over now. So what is the what do we do with the OIC and the Secretariat? How do you guys going to be able to pay salaries to the Faderas and the presidents and all the employees that you guys have? It's over now, or are you guys going to? What's going to happen to the Secretariat?
What's going to happen to the Secretariat? I am not sure, to be honest. But I know, the government would look into the fate of the organization. But what I do also know is that the opportunity to host the OIC for the next 3 years is a Herculean task.
Yes.
But it's also a good opportunity for our country, just like I mentioned earlier on. And that being the case, I think the hosting opportunity that we have, or the opportunity that we have to be at the helm of the OIC for the next 3 years, is something that requires delicate management. And it's something that requires dedicated attention from the government. If not, it might be another missed opportunity for the country. So in my view, the Secretariat is well positioned to be able to support the president as it carries out its mandate of chairing the organization. And the Secretariat is also well positioned to be able to lead the national endeavor in that direction, to make sure our national resources, to make sure our institutions, to make sure our organizations are, positioned in a manner that they can leverage on this opportunity that we have as a country. So I'm sure as we move to the next months and weeks to come, we will have clarity in terms of where the organization is going to head. But I know already the organization is doing a fantastic job, and that the government has a great deal of trust in the organization. We are, just like I said, we are managing the Sadara Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center. And also shortly before the summit, the VVIP lounge management has been entrusted in our hands. So my view is that the Secretariat will be very crucial and instrumental in pushing the conference destination agenda of the country. We have the capacity, we have the competence, and we have the resources with us to be able to push that, to make sure that the Gambia becomes a leader in the sub-region in the area of conferences and meetings. Sorry.
So how many people do you have hired at the Secretariat? And do you have any idea in months to come, where is your salary coming from? To pay your salaries and operating expenses? Or are you hoping that government would be giving you guys subvention to take care of these salaries and other operating expenses?
Yeah, our office is it's a very lean office in terms of structure and human resources. We are less than 20. In fact, if you remove the auxiliary staff, we are about 15 or 16 or so, but a very effective team nonetheless. If you can appreciate the magnitude of work that went into the planning, the organizing, and the production of the summit, it's quite huge. And to think that a team of that number was able to chaperone it and spearhead it, it's quite remarkable, definitely. But I do know that the team is also committed. We have been driven and motivated by the fact that we know at the end of the day what was at stake is the reputation of our country. It was a make or break moment for us. So that was our single biggest motivating factor, and that was enough to encourage us to be steadfast in pursuing our goals of making sure we deliver a successful summit, and that's exactly what we have done. So in terms of the operational costs, we are funded by the government of Saudi. They fund the affairs of the operations of the Secretariat. Hopefully, once we are able to repurpose the Secretariat and have a very clear mandate for it going forward, we will be able to figure out how we are going to maintain the operations of the summit. Probably we'll have to go back to the Saudi again, or maybe the government will have to.
So this was never discussed at the beginning that this is what's going to actually happen to the Secretariat after the meeting itself. Are you guys going to start talking about it, or was it really in the cards as far as planning wise? Was it ever discussed that post OIC, this is what's going to happen to the Secretariat?
Just like I said, our mandate from the beginning was very clear. And if you look at our mandate, largely, you can safely say that it logically largely concludes with the conclusion of the summit, because it was resource mobilization, infrastructure implementation, and events plan. And even in terms of the infrastructure implementation, all the infrastructure projects that we were able to midwife, if we manage to put them on very strong footings, what we do is we hand them over to relevant government agencies to manage for sustainability. Like the road projects, we raise the funds and then we facilitated the whole process. But at the end of the day, what we did was to hand over the road projects to NRA. Likewise, the water and electricity company, they are in the hands of NAWEC. Likewise, the VVIP land project, GCAA, Civil Aviation Authority. Correct. So that is what we've been able, that is what our mandate has been up to this point. So just like I said, going forward, the conversations are ongoing. And then right now, from the look of things, much of the conversation is leaning towards supporting the president as it seeks to chair the OIC in the next 3 years. But more importantly also is to help Gambia, because like I said, the conference center is under our management and we have done a tremendous job, to be honest, in the past 3-4 years. In the past 3-4 years. And, hopefully we'll continue to, manage it and continue to push for the Gambia to become a leader in terms of conferences, in terms of international gatherings and things of that sort. Because as you know, our tourism portfolio is not very diverse. It's just the sun, the sea, and the sun. So what we want to do is to diversify into other areas of tourism, and conferencing and exhibition and international meetings is very lucrative. Right now, like I said, most regional meetings are taking place here in the Gambia. The annual meetings of the African Union Human Rights Commission, for the past 2-3 years, they've all been taking place here at the conference center. The last time we had the Africa Central Bank governors, all of them. We had the first ever Africa Ulama conference also in the Gambia. So increasingly, we have seen, a rise in the number of international meetings that are taking place in the Gambia. And, our office is at the forefront of that. Hopefully, when given the opportunity, we'll continue to fight and push and make sure, the country continues to benefit from some of these sectors.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fadera.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mr. Fadera, thank you. I'd like to follow up on your earlier answers to my question, particularly when Gambia decided to host the OIC, and obviously, there was objectives laid out and some of the logistics that needs to be met, and every other stuff to make this summit successful. So when it was decided that Gambia was gonna host the OIC, and obviously, from your explanation, obviously you guys knew there was resource constraint, and obviously there are challenges that obviously needs to be met. And I think my question is, what was the thinking when all these things you guys knew up front? And with all the challenges that our country has, what were the strategies or the plans in place to meet those challenges? Because it's the responsibility of the host country. I get that. But also, there's a lot of wealthy countries within OIC itself, right? So what was the thinking in terms of resource mobilization in order to meet the expectation of these delegates when the summit is held?
Can you kindly repeat the last part of your question, please? I kind of missed it.
Oh, okay. No, I said, what was the plan or strategy, the planning,
Yes.
when you guys knew all, the logistics planning, all the things put together to make the summit successful, what was the thinking and the strategy in place to ensure that you guys execute a successful, summit?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Marong. In fact, I know I mentioned that we ended up being able to raise about 350 million, but the original goal of the resource mobilization drive was $1 billion. That was the goal that was set out for ourselves, for the organization when it set out. But as you know, it is not easy to, access funds nowadays with donor fatigue all over the world, with crisis all around the world. So it is not easy like that. But we were able to settle with what we have. And then, we ended up also becoming a little bit more realistic, knowing that of all the things that we would like to do, there are certain projects that are must-have projects that we must ensure that are in place to be able to facilitate a successful summit. And the whole idea of raising resources, the whole idea of going out there looking for resources and investing it into our infrastructure was to bridge the infrastructure deficit that we have. Because you cannot invite people to come to your country for a conference of this magnitude, for a summit of this magnitude, world leaders from 27 countries all over the world, and not have, for example, a conference facility. You cannot invite these people to come and not have good roads. You cannot invite these people to come and you're still grappling with erratic supply of electricity, water, and energy. You cannot invite these people to come when you do not have the right infrastructure at the airport, which is supposed to be the first point of call for any visitor in any country. So these were the issues that inform our decision to, to concretize all the wishes we had from the beginning to fundamentally 5 or 6 principal projects, strategic projects that we know would ensure that we are able to host a very successful summit. So this is what informed these key strategic projects, and this is what also informed our resource mobilization. That is why when we went out there, we did our best to ensure that we convinced the donors, and thankfully most of them were they bought into our vision and they committed money to the projects that we have earmarked for the summit. And I must at this juncture also commend the government of the Gambia for also participating as one of the financiers of some of these projects, at least one of them, which is the Battle Hardened Highway project. In fact, the Gambia government is one of the biggest contributors to the financing of the Battle Hardened Highway project. Most people don't know that. But at the same time, just like I said, we knew that, these projects that we have set out for ourselves were essential in ensuring that we have a successful summit. That is why, we pursued those projects. I don't know if I have answered your question, Mr. Marong, whether you...
No, thank you. I'm going to tag along. So in your early statement to Musa's question in regards to the script that he read from Nyanjai, and you said you were very involved in the planning, preparation from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
Now my question to you is, knowing the logistics constraint in terms of especially for the vehicle. So for the pod, during your planning, how many vehicles did you guys anticipate would be needed for this, effective execution of transportation of the delegates from point A to point B?
Our original plan, well, not original anymore, but Mr. Njai that you mentioned said the original plan was 100 vehicles, but I can tell you that we use more than 100 vehicles for the summit. The entire vehicle fleet was 350 vehicles that went into the organizing and the production of the summit itself. So 350 vehicles, 100 vehicles from Mauritania. The Mauritanian government was, gracious enough to loan us those vehicles for free. And that as a secretariat, we rented another 100 vehicles. And then we had expected about 100 vehicles to be purchased from the government of the Gambia. And then the other 50, from the best of my knowledge, it was commandeered from the pre-existing government fleet that we have in the country. So all in all, 350 vehicles were used as part of our operations, as part of the summit, transportation operations for the summit.
Okay, so my follow-up, sorry, my follow-up question is, since you were involved in the planning and execution, and you were able to highlight the numbers needed, my question to you is, and I know you say you don't want to answer this, but why were the vehicles purchased, and is it true? And I'm going to press this because I think, what was the thinking? I mean, if you supplement from the existing government fleet, you had 100 from Mauritania, and I don't know where else you said, but was it more effective, cost effective wise, was there any thinking of renting vehicles from the local dealership? Because on that Baton Highway, Baton Highway, there was a couple of dealerships out there. Was there any thinking in terms of suppressing the cost? Forging some type of partnership to rent from the local dealers instead of purchasing 87 vehicles?
Like I said, 350 vehicles were required for the entire operations, the transportation operations. So out of that 350 vehicles, originally, in fact, I think by our own estimates, it was supposed to be about 400 vehicles, and of different categories and standards, based on the status of the people that we were expecting. But like I said, the government thought it wise to buy at least 100 of that. Then the rest we got loaned, and the other one we rented. So the renting of the last start of the vehicles that we needed was a public tender. It was tendered in the newspaper. Gambian companies were encouraged to apply, and one of the companies that sorry.
No, go ahead, Fally. Go ahead.
So to answer your question more directly, what I was saying is we had the tender published publicly, and companies were encouraged to apply and help provide the vehicle need that we have at the time. And companies that responded were the companies that we ended up working with. But more directly also, the companies, the car dealerships that we have in the country, most of them do not have the required standard of cars that we were looking for. As you know, in diplomacy and in events like this, what you give country A is what you have to give country B in terms of uniformity. You have to make sure, if you give all the foreign ministers, for example, a Mercedes S-Class, you have to make sure that all the foreign ministers have that. Or even if they are going to have a different car brand, but the luxury has to be equal in terms of the standard. So I don't think in country our car dealerships have that capacity to be able to provide that sort of requirement. But more importantly, and more directly to your point, our request for cars was a public tender. We published it on the newspaper. We invited Gambian companies to participate, and the companies that participated in the process were the ones that we vetted and considered. And the company that ended up winning it was adjudged to be the most responsive, and we gave them the contract. That was how it was done.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fadera. Yeah. Musa, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so Mr. Fadera, I'm sure we're down to the last. I'll ask my last question, and Sariang, if you have any other question, then we would let Mr. Fadera go, because definitely, like he said, for the past month or so, he must have been extremely busy and stressful. The man needs his rest. Mr. Fadera, couple of things though. We saw that there were some drivers that were not very happy. They're like, one day, and then maybe you can set light and clarify as far as the drivers are concerned. The other thing too, Mr. Fadera, our country, whenever something like this happens, this big elephant in the room is always corruption is always in the minds of the people.
Yeah.
They believe when you have events like this, you can't eliminate that corruption. What do you say to, first of all, the drivers that are complaining about, their salaries? And like I said, I don't have any tangible reason to say that this thing is full of corruption, but just to address the issue, because I know it's in the minds of all of us. What do you say to that, Mr. Fadera?
Well, the issue of the drivers, I'll begin by saying the drivers have been paid. They've been paid, each one of them, $8,000. All the 350 drivers that were involved in the summit operations were all paid fully. I guess what led to the confusion, in my view, is that the drivers were a little bit impatient because the engagement letter that we signed with them said 10 days. It was supposed to be a 10-day engagement. We did not even exhaust the 10 days and they came asking for their money, number one. Number two, it was less than 48 hours after the conclusion of the summit that they came asking for their money. Whether or not they were going to be paid was never under contention. We were very clear, even the engagement letter stipulated it quite clearly, that they will be compensated. It could not, sorry. Sorry, we could not have engaged them in a fresh employment because all the drivers involved were already under the employment of the government of the Gambia. These are all government drivers that were recruited from the system. So what we could do and have done was to compensate them in the form of an honorarium. That's what we indicated in the letter, engagement letter that we signed with them from the onset. So it was supposed to be a 10-day, but before the 10 days concluded, they came asking for their money. They were a little bit impatient, but nonetheless, we have paid them, all of them in full, 8,000, all the 350 drivers that are involved. On the issue of corruption, I think, I don't want to speculate. There is, what I do know is that the people that are involved, sorry, the people that are involved are people of, sorry.
Sorry about that.
So it's just speculation. It's just people going about talking about things that they have no clue of. But nonetheless, like I said, we are very much aware that what we were dealing with were public funds, and public funds, as you know, must be accounted for, and we handle them in the best possible manner with great deal of responsibility, and we made sure that the funds that were provided to us went into what they were supposed to be expended on. So we had our process in place. Everything that we do had to go through due process. So just like my CEO said the other day at the press conference, our office, we have nothing to hide. We are, very much ready to be audited even tomorrow morning. And I like to see that sentiment. I know the team that we have here at the Secretariat, very diligent, hardworking team. And, definitely, just like CEO said, we are ready to be audited even tomorrow, as soon as possible. If in all these years, even though our monies come from Saudi, in terms of operations, we are duly and annually audited by the Gambia National Audit Office, so we don't have any issues with that. But the only thing that I find to be quite unfortunate is just people sitting down and leveling these allegations just for the sake of it, without any proof, evidence whatsoever. Just because you can do it, just because you can say it, you just sit down and level these allegations. But at the same time, there's not much we can do about that. People would always be free to speculate and say whatever that they want to say. But we at the Secretariat know that, the team that we have is quite a dedicated team, very responsible team. And we know that the monies on our hands are public funds that needed to be managed with due care and responsibility. And that is what we have done. Exactly, that's what we have done.
So when you say that I think you said the director, the managing director, basically saying that you guys are ready to be audited even tomorrow. So
Yes,
I have to assume then. I mean, the financial statements are ready, and if they're ready, when would you have it either on your website or be out there so that Gambians, for public information, would know that this is the amount of money that was either raised or mobilized and different expenditures. If you're ready to be audited, then clearly the financial statements are ready. So when would we have access to those financial statements?
Oh, of course. I think CEO saying we are ready to be audited even tomorrow was just an expression of intent, not necessarily to say literally our accounts are ready to be audited. In fact, we are still paying some of the service providers. We have not paid all of them in full, obviously. But I guess what he was trying to demonstrate, which I am also trying to amplify here, is that as far as our secretariat is concerned, we have nothing to hide. We are very transparent in the manner that we work. And as soon as whatever we are doing reaches its logical conclusion, we will avail ourselves to all forms of scrutiny and accountability out there, whether from the Gambia National Audit Office or any other entity that is interested in looking at our transactions and our books. Very much so. We will be more than willing to make that available. Definitely. We have no qualms doing that. Just like I said, we are regularly audited, even though our operational funding is not coming from the government of the Gambia, but we subject ourselves to the annual audits of the National Audit Office all the time. So we have no problems making our financial statements and our finances public and presenting it to whosoever may require it.
Again, I thank you immensely. I mean, Mr. Fadera, we've had a history with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're definitely going to be reaching out to you to help us like you always do. Again, and like I said, you have been a conduit, a bridge between the Gambia, the government, public holders and Gambians in the diaspora. And I definitely appreciate your willingness all the time when we reach out to you. Mr. Sariang, I will give you the last word. Sailor.
I got the last word today, huh?
Always you have the last word.
Mr. Fadera, thank you very much. As you know, we will ask the questions. That's what we are. And, we create that, conversation. At least, for the people, by the people, we spoke to the diaspora directly, and some Gambians follow it. But I think my question to you is, based on your honest assessment, what are some of the areas, missed opportunities, and areas that we could have improved?
Thank you so much, Mr. Marong. Just once again to say, definitely, I am very much pleased to be on the show. And anytime that you guys call on us, we will always endeavor to make ourselves available. We are public officials. We are aware of our duties, our responsibility to the public. And part of that includes to be held to account, for our actions and our conduct in office. And this is very much welcome. And I also must express my satisfaction and admiration of how the conversation is conducted. It is conducted in a very civil, but honest and candid manner, which is very much, I think, everybody else in this country should take cue from you guys. We can ask hard questions, but do it in a manner that is very respectful and and civil as well. So I'm happy to be here, and anytime you call on me, I will very much oblige. Definitely. Back to your question now, which is in relation to what in hindsight, what we could do better. I think there is so much that we can do that we would do differently if the opportunity presents itself. I think one of the things that in hindsight I think we should work on is to make sure we do the planning with enough time in mind. Definitely, I think one of the concerns that we had at the Secretariat was that the funding for the events planning part of the things I feel like could have come a little earlier than it did. That kind of disrupted our plans in terms of the things that we wanted to do, in terms of the things that we required in order to make sure we put in place all the facilities that we needed. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that time, the planning should have started a little bit earlier, in my view. But that is also by no fault of our own. We came, we were supposed to do the summit sometime in December, and it got postponed. And December is end of the fiscal year. Before the budget was presented, approved, before the parliament, funds disbursed, it kind of ate into the time, and that also affected our planning significantly, to be honest. So I think in hindsight, planning ahead of time definitely is something that we would have done differently, in my view. But other than that, definitely I think we tried our best and delivered under the circumstance. It was not easy, I have to be honest, but we did what we could, and thankfully we ended up making everybody proud. We made Gambians proud, we made the organizers proud, we also made the guests that came very much proud of what we were able to deliver. And don't take my word for it. Just a few days ago we received a letter from the Iranian government expressing their satisfaction and admiration for what we were able to do as a country. The ECOWAS Commission also expressed similar sentiments. And even in our private conversations with these delegates during the summit, most of them confessed that had they known what they saw, they would have really represented their country in a different manner. So for us, I think that is one of the biggest wins for us, in the sense that we were able to show these guests what Gambia as a country is capable of doing. And I am sure in the future, if we call again and invite these people to come to our country, definitely they will have no doubt in our capacity and our capability to deliver.
Thank you, Mr. Fadera. I have to give my Baribunka pitch, for the people, by the people. So as you know, we sit here, we discuss issues, but we also have some folks, private businesses that give us advertisement and we put on the platform. So, I think it will be important. I mean, because there's always this disconnect between people in the Gambia and folks in the diaspora.
Right.
And we have open door to partner. So if OIC felt the need to get that voice, to get that message out to diaspora and beyond, please contact my boss there, Musa Gang, and we'll put some ads on the platform and get the word out there and share. And I think communication is key, and your area of expertise, branding, comes into play. But I just want to throw that out there for you to know.
Oh, very important. Maybe we should have done this 3 years ago.
I was exactly going to say the same thing. If we had this conversation a little while ago,
right,
definitely we endeavored to engage as quite diverse platforms as possible. We tried our best to engage all the platforms in the country, because our interest is to make sure we reach all and sundry, everybody, with our messages. So that is why we partnered with some online-based media houses, both in the Gambia here and in the diaspora. We partnered with media houses, radio stations, newspapers, television programs. If I had known definitely that you guys also consider things of that nature, probably, but all is not lost. I like to think that the Secretariat is here to stay. We'll continue to have the need to, partner more in the future. And even in my own private capacities, I also advise informally and formally a lot of businesses and government entities as well in terms of communication and branding. I will continue to advocate on your behalf, definitely. That's you guys are doing a fantastic job.
I like that part.
Yes.
And so Sariang, let's get ready to spinning that the Secretariat is here to stay. You're not gonna get too article from us. I can tell you that.
All right. I hear you, man. I hear you. Thank you, Fali. Very appreciative.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Say hi to everybody. Sariang,
Yeah.
I think this was
Yes.
it was a good one.
Oh, it was. I mean,
Yes.
communication is key. Some of the areas that he highlighted, I think we are all clear. I mean, especially the highway, and it says
Yeah.
government sponsored. Some people call it OIC, project. So, it's always good to kind of lay out things, in a broad perspective. So I think he did great.
So we're gonna bring people to have their final say. I mean, post analysis again, Mr. Fadera. Thank you very much. We're gonna run our ads, our sponsors, and hopefully, in not too long in the future, we will get an ad from OIC that will be included on our platform. Thanks again, Mr. Pop Samba. Definitely a good interview. Your fan. Can you hear me, Sariang?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. And we want to apologize to Mai again. We got the new ad, and it was just this afternoon that Pasamba sent it to me. I didn't have enough time to download it, but we're going to work on that, Mai, definitely. And Mr. Sariang, we have Banka from the Gambia. Mr.
Yes, sir.
We gotta get his take on this whole OIC thing. To hold on 1 second, let me add. Banka, can you hear me?
Yes, Father Boss, I can hear you very well.
Gaine naman nañ la de.
You have to put it closer to your microphone, Musa.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Okay, go ahead, Banka.
Yes.
So how are things in the Gambia? The post-OIC, I'm sure you've witnessed everything. So what's your take?
Well, I mean, the OIC, it depends on what angle you come from. And, it's a mixed bag, but overall, it's great because the international prestige that we have lacked on the JAME, it's been restored. The respect that we used to have before JAME, a lot of it is coming back, in terms of how we are viewed in the world, the responsibilities we are being given around the world, the respect that we are given around the world, and how we are valued around the world. I think a lot of that is being restored. If you notice, I would say even the selection of Barrow as the new chair of the OIC is testament to that prestige and the respect and that value that the international community has attached to the Gambia finally. So this is a wonderful thing because you are talking about 57 countries. To pick one person out of that and make that person the leader of the organization, especially this in terms of when you look at Gambia as it relates to other countries, size-wise, economic size-wise, I can go through a list. We are very, 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 very small. But I believe the reason why they picked Barrow is because finally the international community is saying this is a country that should be taken seriously. This is a country that should be valued, and this is a country that has something to offer the world. So I think in terms of that, it's been a major, major success. Now, the challenges, as I call them, came in terms of the local side. Which is because the local side has two sides to it. One is the infrastructure development, which tends to be the kind of benefits that also come with such conferences. Many countries vie for hosting these sorts of events because of the kind of benefits it brings to the infrastructure of the nation, but also the boost that it gives the economy. Now, in our case, the most effective way to give boost to the economy, obviously, would have been to make sure that there is a trickle-down effect. When I say trickle-down effect, Musa, I'm talking about in terms of the local providers of services, of food, of whatever, That part really, I think there has been a serious lack of that because, you know, when such conferences come, you want the taxi driver to see the impact. When I say that, meaning the conference delegates will hire the taxis to take them to places, and they can make a good amount of money during the course of these events. The local restaurants will see a bigger presence and you know, more spending, even foreign currency earnings and all these things because of the delegates that are coming in. I can go through the list. The caterers, you know, will also see a big boost. The telephone service providers, the internet service providers. I can go through the list. I guess by now, the gardeners, the garden women who provide lettuce and tomatoes and all these things. You want to see a big boost in that because that's the kind of benefit it also brings. So, you know, in the US, obviously, when you have such events, that you know, conferences or conventions, post convention or post conference, what tends to happen is they will talk about the boost to the local economy. They might say, well, the recent conference brought in, we gave a $35 billion boost to the economy, or $20 billion boost. In the case of the Gambia, I don't think we can talk in those terms because the local taxi man didn't see any benefit from it. The local restaurants did not see any benefit from it. I understand even some of these countries delegates, they brought their own caterers and all that kind of stuff. You know, the hotels, even the local hotels, that is, they should see a boost in terms. But what tended to happen was we saw private residences being hired or even used. I don't know whether those are for fees or just pro bono or what have you. I'm not sure. But the hotels, the restaurants, the taxi drivers, the local women providing lettuce and tomatoes, their garden stuff, all of these people should have seen a big boost in their income during the course of the event, but I don't think that took place. So I think in terms of that, it was a colossal failure. But when you look at the other direction, here we have a lot of roads that are being built thanks to the OIC, and I mean many places are being connected. You know, so yes, but there is a steady progress. We are moving in that direction. Places like Madiana, who never had any road before, they used to struggle during the rainy season to go from their town to, you know, the urban areas. It was a major challenge. You know, if go anywhere. Those places now are having roads now. Bufoot is having roads now. Now, a lot of taxi drivers at Turntable rather go to Bufoot than to go to Senegambia. I mean, that's a big change. Before, you had to beg taxi drivers. In the rainy season, forget it. They will not come. You can never get them. I don't care how much you paid them. They will never come to Bufoot. Now we have, you know, a big, nice road going through Bufoot. I mean, all the way to your end over there, Musa. I mean, now even Mohammed Yah Junction, your road right there, is you know, they are working on it. So very soon you two will have a nice road going past your own compound over there. Yes, so there is a lot of that happening in the country, and thanks to the OIC. So in terms of infrastructure development, it has brought a big boost to that. So what I'm saying is, locally it's a mixed bag. Internationally, a resounding success. So I mean, overall, then obviously, if you want to do the scorecard, you can say it was a big success because it was great in several sectors and lacking in maybe one major sector, which is the local economy, as I said before. So this is my own take on it, and I think those who say it's a colossal failure are totally wrong because it was not. It was a big success in, like as I said, in those areas. Those who say it was a major success in all spheres and areas, I think those guys are wrong too, because locally I don't think we have seen a big boost in terms of the economic gain that we could get from it. So in that area, it definitely was not a success. So, but again, like I said, overall, we call it a success. So at the end of the day, the net gain is much greater.
So Sawaji munge xelu Pap Samba munge yakamti bi nga wax yeb munge xelu di manière. So if you want to give it a letter grade,
he's corrupt. He's a corrupt public official.
So if you want to give it a letter grade, what would you give it?
I will give it an A-.
An A-. It's a mixed bag. Pap Samba, you heard it.
Banker.
Yes.
Maraka, good to hear your voice here on the air. I am not going to go onto this OIC thing. And I like that you were not, I was liking your analysis until you give it an A minus, because you can't give me back and then have an A minus. But anyway, Banker, 10 years ago, they can come to OIC. I don't have time. I'm feeling OIC. If it's a toothless bulldog, and I don't like how they're operating with the Palestinians being slaughtered and they're sitting there being friends with Israel and America. But Banker, 10 years ago, you came up with this idea of organizing this program. I know we used to have our battles in the morning and in the evening when we were going to or from work. And here you were, don't go nowhere. To everybody who calls, you will have 1 million people on the call with Banker, and sometimes he will be on the radio for hours, 6, 7 hours. Here we are, 10 years ago. Did you foresee for the people by the people to last this long? And what was the driving, what drove you into coming up with such a program?
It's funny. For me, back in those days, and I'm sure, Coach, you can relate to this, both you and Musa and Sarian can very much relate to what I'm about to say. One of the biggest frustrations we are getting is not having a sort of an elevated conversation about our country, one that was democratic, one that was open, one that was vibrant, one that was robust, one that was engaging, one that was really very, very, I would say, valuable to our conversation and our state of affairs and our situation. So you have programs that were great, but then obviously the maturity was lacking in one respect. And we had programs that had the maturity, but the substance was not as good as we would have preferred. You had programs that had both, but unfortunately they did not allow certain conversations. So you had always these sort of limitations, I would call them, in many, many programs that were available then. And even on social media, that's how Gambia Youth and Women's Forum. That's how I opened the Gambia Youth and Women's Forum page, because we lacked that page where we could go and everybody could say whatever the hell they wanted, and yet they would not be harassed or yelled at, and they could literally just have a good conversation about it, so we can dialogue and come to a conclusion about our situation. If we couldn't come to a conclusion, at least agree to disagree. That whole maturity right there, and the robustness and the elevated conversation was totally missing in our discourse. So for me, stupid me with my little knowledge, and I don't know anything. I'm still very, very ignorant. I felt, no, maybe we could do something different. Yeah, and that's why I started this program on Fatu Network, saying, let me start something where we could literally just have a good, long, good conversation where people, if you remember back in those days when somebody calls and people, so even the audience will be frustrated because someone will call in who they didn't like to hear. Yeah. And I'll be sitting there going, like a Baba Jah will call, they didn't want to hear from a Baba Jah. Or Malik Bay will call in, they didn't want to hear from Malik Bay. And I'm like, look, let's hear from these people, whether we like it or not. We need to hear from them, and hear their side of the story. Yeah. And that's the only way we can debunk whatever they were saying or they believe. The very constitution of the Gambia was not center stage in our conversation, and the only way we could delegitimize Gambia is by saying, here are the rules, and here's why he's evil. These are the rules he's violating, and this is the reason why we say he's evil. Because if I'm going to call Musa evil or say he is bad or this, that, and the other, I have to provide a rule-based system where everybody agrees and says, okay, these are the rule number 1 he violated, rule number 2 he violated, and this is why I'm saying he's this or he's that. But I don't just say Gambia is a dictator, but I don't provide any basis for calling him a dictator. The only way he's a dictator is because he's violating the Constitution, which is what he's supposed to uphold. If you violate the Constitution and you don't go by it and you are the president, you are a dictator. You are drained by your whims and caprices. So that whole sort of mindset right there and approach was why I thought, Gambia Youth Academy, not just Gambia Youth and Women's Forum platform on Facebook, but also on the radios where everybody was listening to. Let's have something called For the People, by the People, to reflect the goal, the idea, the aspirations that we really would want to see. And I guess it was a hit because of that, because everybody could relate to it. But it's longevity, though. It's longevity. That credit doesn't go to me. That goes to you and Musa and this and Sariam. Because look, without you guys, this program would have been dead by now. Let's get it straight. I remember when I was going to prison, you two took it upon yourselves to, because of the vision and the mission of the program, you believed in it. I always tell people when they tell me, who do you agree with politically most in the Gambia? I said, Coach and Musa. They tell me no, but you guys are always fighting on the radio. I said, yeah, that fighting right there is a reflection of what we are as a people. We can disagree all day, but I know exactly where they are going, and they know exactly where I'm going. So I said, and they're all going the same place. So, and that's the beauty of it. I think you both embrace this program and you are still glued to it because its mission and vision is something that resonates with you. You totally agree with, and that's why you take it upon yourselves to take the program and elevate it to a different. I could never imagine this program having come this far or even gone this high on the agenda of the people. Here in the Gambia, everybody listens to for the people by the people. Me there or without me being there is as popular, even more popular now than ever before. And that credit goes to you guys because I'm not there now and still the program is strong and going. And that's again was also my view, and that is you should not build an institution around yourself. You should build it around an ideal, an idea. You all believed in that ideal. That's why you are still here. That's why you took it on up yourselves and take it to a different level, a level probably I couldn't even do. So really, that credit, honestly, and I will to give you both, I would say thank you for believing in it and taking it to the level that I could never imagine myself, and making it the program that even myself I could never imagine it would become. Seriously, I really want to.
So you have to listen to another guy who's always been part of the program and way more before that, Brother Karamba Ture.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask one question. Get out and.
Okay. Go ahead, Pasam. Sorry.
Banka, I don't praise you a lot, but thank you for providing, creating this platform. And of course, it has become a lot more civil now and controlled because you're not here yelling at people, crying about Musa taking your and not trying to ask questions with your long and build questions. But Banka, on a serious note,
break the Pasamba.
Huh? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Pasamba.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Go ahead, Pasamba.
So, but
you're breaking.
You mentioned it so happened that 8 years ago today.
Yes.
I can hear you now, but you were breaking.
You were breaking a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Banka, you mentioned about when you were going to prison, but that was 8 years ago today.
No, we can't hear you now. We cannot.
You cannot hear me?
We cannot.
Musa, what you got? We just hear you just crying.
Kenn xamul li ngay wax. Brother.
We can hear him just fine. Are you messing with the man? What's up?
No, we couldn't hear you.
Paramos, I think your internet has issues, man. Hello, Brother Karamba, are you still there?
Yes, I am here, and I can hear you, and I was able to hear Coach as well.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Well,
so
you can go ahead while Musa join us, no problem.
Oh yeah, Karamba, we're back. Can you hear them?
Huh?
I can hear everybody. I can hear them.
Okay. So you have, Karamba is on. Karamba.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Musa. I want to join everybody in congratulating your entire team, starting with my good friend Banka, who pioneered the program, and to all of you who have sustained it over the years. Free people need to engage, and you guys have consistently provided an opportunity for all of us to engage, and engage in a very meaningful way. Because if you share a country, you need to discuss that country and the issues that affect it. And the program, even though you people are the public face of the program, but the program is an idea, like Banka suggested. The idea that people will come and then they will engage in a robust way, not always agreeing, not always disagreeing, but always having a conversation about issues that are important to everybody. And there is nothing in it for you guys. And that is an element I think that that we all appreciate, because this is not built around you people as personalities, and you are not driving a personal agenda. To the extent that you have your own opinions, your opinions are in the public domain, and you are entitled to them just like everybody else is entitled to it. But then the discussion of even your opinion, you allow people to contest your own opinion, and then you contest other people's opinion. And this is very, very important in a democracy, and then it's important with free people. You know, everything, if we say we are going to be able to diagnose our problems, we have to be able to have a way where we can talk about the problems in a dispassionate way, or even in a passionate way. But then we put all of the cards on the table, and then have a go at it. So I think this is very, very good. And the reason why it has gained traction with the public is because everybody has a fair shake. You know, and I know sometimes, Musa, some of our people tease you, oh, you are not politically affiliated, you have a team, you have this and that and that. But what you have is your opinion, and that and also the independence that you assert in articulating that those opinions, and then they help all of us, including those who will not agree with you on a particular thing or two. So I wanted to just call and say what you do is important, and then how you do it is also very, very important. You do it well, and the reason you do it is even more noble. You do it because I believe you love the country. I have lamented over the years, the biggest problem we have in our country is not enough people demonstrate love of country. And that means you put the country before you, and you put the issues of the country before your personal consideration. And then when you fight, you are fighting because of the country. And we have a deficit of that. And that's why it's very easy for terrible people to kind of just take a stranglehold over our society. If somebody told you because I have been in this battle with you guys for 22 years before Yaya, and then the current 8 years. So we are looking at 30 years. If somebody told you, we'll still be talking about Sidin Jai, about people of that inclination today. You wouldn't believe it. And the reason we are doing it is because not sufficient people are engaged in the manner that you guys are engaged. And that what is the merit of what we are fighting for? Are we fighting for it for the right reasons? Is it about country? And I think you are bringing people in the public space in a manner that brings everybody. You bring the government also, let them explain their issues. And I think they need to come here more often. Understand? You are not going to sort of babysit them, but you will engage them in a respectful way, and then they too can explain why they are doing what they are doing. You understand? So everybody should come and everybody should participate. But I want to kind of what the Wolofs call damalin buga sonya ngen continue ci liggéey bu baax bu ngeen ay def, because dafa am solo. you know, and also engage the people, talk to our people, make it about our country, make it about what we share, our collective ambition. And let it not be about why we should always be fighting. We should also try to build consensus around the things, at least that we are not far apart. Let us build consensus. If we say corruption, you despise corruption. Sariang despises corruption. And I know Coach cannot stand corruption. And everybody can see that this is something the overwhelming majority of the population can agree. So how do we address it? When it happens, we call it for what it is. And then we name the culprits. And then we demand consequences. So it's only a forum like this that will do it, that will give everybody the benefit of the doubt and then come. So I am praying for your continued success. And I would say keep doing what you are doing because the formula works. You know, the controversy is good controversy. The contesting of ideas is good for democracy and for free people. And then your independence is also important so that each side will have to come and explain themselves to you so that the public can then weigh who is telling the truth and then who is kind of just trying to give a jive. Because if you come to your show with a jive, it will stand as a jive because you guys are going to say, you know, this is not adding up. Why are you telling me this? So you help the country that way. And that is patriotism. We all need it in what we do. Ne do def dara because how my nakalako rai taiko sumakanam. This is not about that. That is not for Sariang or you or Coach in what you are doing. Nothing personal. I know that. So I am happy for you. And I'm praying that you continue to succeed in this. That was something I wanted to do because I was there from day one as a member of the audience. And I've been here times to engage you. What you do is important. And that's why it is resonating with people. You have all kinds of people who listen to you, people who agree with you, who don't agree with you, and sometimes people don't agree with you per program or even within the program. But that is that's why
you know.
This is important. That is why, and then you know our people love you on my side, and I know they challenge you sometimes, but you know what they are good at is our people they are good judges of authenticity. So you know you kind of give it to us sometimes, but I don't question your motives. I think you're doing it for the right reason, and because you are Musajang, you have to ask the questions, and sometimes you know we screw up, and it doesn't feel good when you screw up. So I say thank you to all of you, and then Sariang also came. I think he's the late member of the panel, but I've known Sariang also for quite a bit, and I know he loves the country. He's a good U.S. soldier as well, but I know that his heart is also in the country where it all started, and he has added value and continue to bring in the kind of depth and issue-oriented things and not carrying anybody's bag, essentially, and that's important to the identity of the program. Now we know Coach has a home, but he understands democracy, and then he's able to wear all the hats. Without compromising his integrity because he has earned his standing already. Understand? So any other affiliation is secondary to that, and he loves the country. He is the one that even if you appoint him in your own administration, he might end up demonstrating against you because of his love for the country.
I always tell him that.
So all in all, this is a good thing, and I thank Banka also for his foresight. For the idea that when you have something that is worth fighting for, you need to fight for it. So thank you very much, guys, and wishing you many more years to come. And I'll be here listening all the time. And I am a big fan, and I encourage everybody to come. The government should come. Those who oppose the government should come. Independents should come. And vegetarians should come. Anybody who has an issue, as long as you love this country, waxtaan moo indi ñu nit ñi mën a dégloo Musa waxtaan rek foog ñu waxtaan mbir yi ci dégga and then we fight for what is right. Understand? If we do that, then everything else would be secondary. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
The man is good. You know, Karamba, he's good. He has a way with words. I'm telling you, he's good. Yes. You heard from Karamba. It's always been, how can you say no to this guy?
Musa, I just wanted to add something to what Banka was saying.
Yeah.
I got a lot of text messages today. By the way, your people are very, very happy with you today. They said Musa was very independent, and he has. But coming back to Banka, I think he shows a lot of resolve and so a lot of humility in his utterances, and he gave a lot of kudos to us. That shows what type of human being he is. Uh, Thinking about him and the journey that leads to today, obviously he knew the life consequences, whether good or bad, and he knew the challenges that he's gonna face, as well as his family. But with all that, he gave it all. So we owe you, we owe you, Banka, and your family, and the rest of the folks that joined you in the struggle that leads to today. And I now understand, you have to give us praise, but we sit here, we're with our families. You're not. You're in Gambia, and there was that life consequence that lead to where we are today. And on behalf of everyone, on behalf of every Gambian, we say big thank you to you and to your family and all the sacrifices. It's not easy, but you stood up and you stood for the love of the country, and that is very commendable, right? So I want to make sure we throw that out there for folks to know, because today we get into these whole nitty-gritty about who love the country, who doesn't love the country. And Karamba said something here that where this fight began and where we are today. And somehow when we talk about what is good for the Gambia and we talk about corruption and how we can make government efficient, it gets tilted towards one personality, and we get into this thing about who is that's not it. If you think about the bankers, you think about Jagajan, you think about Alaji Barrows and all that, they faced their consequence, but that's not about them or their family. It's about what is at stake and what they foresee for the future for the Gambia and her people. And on behalf of everyone, Banka, I want to thank, and I wanted to add that voice, to what Karamba and Musa and Coach already lamented.
So, Banka, you have the last word. I remember when it used to get hot, and you called me Chemical Ali. And I accused him of being intolerant. And he's how can you defend something when people are being slaughtered?
You think this is what Musa does. He would rather have these people come to the radio and insult all people. But you see, what Banka, Sumaraka.
So sorry, Pasamba. I guess people were hearing you. I had a problem with my internet.
That's what you do every time.
And Coach, I was trying to help him. I was just trying to say, hey Musa, it's just you. But he was, oh no. He keep agitating.
No, why Banka? Are you hearing me?
That's what he does. You know how Musa is. No, but Musa, sometimes I sit here and then I all of a sudden in my quiet moments, I would start really running through the struggle days.
Right.
And there were key moments that just, funny, very, very, extremely, extremely funny moments that would just hit me, and I would just laugh at myself. And I would sit there just laughing, hysterically. And sometimes I just sit there and say, no, I better stop laughing before people think I have a mental problem. And it would be because I go through the struggle days and I remember some of the most funniest moments. And calling you Chemical Ali was actually one of them. When I called you Chemical Ali. So, but those days we were all hot. There was no compromise. There was no roof for negotiation sometimes, and then you. But nowadays, even I think along the way I've become very moderate and issues. But yes,
that's some of the bunker, some of the, call it evolution, or if you want to call it that, because I still remember Bunker, the guy that had the Ford Escape. And there is going to be a demonstration in New York. The guy will be here in Atlanta looking for people to join him. Then the same guy with the Ford Escape looking for people to join him to go to Washington or to go to Chicago. I can guarantee you, believe me, this struggle in the wilderness, it was, what do you say? And then people are still looking for that bunker. And then when they hear bunker in the Gambia and your commentaries and your views, they're like, this man has changed. Have you really changed, or have you evolved, or is that what Gambia does to people? What do you say to that?
That's the funniest thing ever, because a lot of times, and I coach sometimes calls me a misunderstood person. I think he wants to describe me that way, and I think that's what it is. I'm misunderstood, and it's okay. I don't complain about it. It doesn't shake me much, because the way I look at it is, and I think you remember Batamid always says, every time people say these things, he will always say, no, Bunker sees the glass half full.
Right.
And I think that's what it is. You see, for me, my frame of reference is the Gambia days, when I look back and I saw where we were at those days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at us now. I see the progress we have made. We are not there yet, but I see the progress we have made. And I'm excited about where we are right now. And I know you guys call me the eternal optimist.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that eternal optimist in me is what makes me feel like that. And it's not because I don't criticize Barrow. And Barrow will always be the first one who will tell you, Bunker criticizes me when he needs to. And he even told me that last time when we met, he said, look, you are easy on these drivers, but even for me, you would have been very hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, at the end of the day, the Gambia of today is what I look at. And I know this is where I have a major disagreement with many of these folks that are really in the strong opposition against Barrow. And that is, they want to frame Barrow and the Gambia today as a dictatorship of the Gambia type or Gambia era type.
Mm-hmm.
And then they approach, and the reason why they're having trouble really framing, kind of convincing Gambians of this, because it's hard to believe it. And that is, they've convinced themselves that Barrow is evil. I hear it all the time. People even tell me, Barrow is worse than Yaya. Yaya will not even do this. Yaya will not do it. And I sit there and I cringe, and I'm like, what am I missing? Mm-hmm. Is there something going on that I don't know? Because for me, back in those days, the killings, the destructions, the humiliations, the firings, all the horrible things that were happening. And then I contrast that to what we have today. It's like night and day. Mm-hmm. Thanks to obviously our fight, thanks to the resolve of the Gambian people, absolutely. All credits and all kudos to the Gambian people. But what I am saying is that we have made immense progress. Here is where we are now. What we need to do now is to build on this. If come elections, people feel Barrow is not the right person for the job, God damn it, vote against him and boot him out of power. That opportunity is finally available. That opportunity is finally real. People don't have to die, or they don't have to be tortured for us to realize that such a dream, if anybody has such a dream. What I am saying is, we are where we are today, and it's wonderful. It's a great place to be. Many countries will want to be like us, the Gambia of today. We are not there yet. Yes, we are lacking in many areas. There's a problem of corruption. There's a problem of, sometimes even security. Sometimes it's a challenge. I can go through a list. So many things that we need to work on aggressively and make sure we address them. But what I am saying, for the most, is that what we cannot do is to really sit here and pretend that this is the worst thing that could ever happen to us, and the Gambia era is far much better than this. Because that's totally false. We have made immense progress. What we need to do now is to build on it. And every time I talk like that, most of these people who really want us to frame Barrow like worse than Yaya Jammeh. Like people are dying here of starvation, like we are here dying, people are being killed, people are being tortured. tortured, lives are being destroyed. I can go through a list. They want to convince us that Barrow is worse than Yaya. And this is very false. I don't believe this. And I will say that on top of my voice. What I do believe, though, is that, yes, we have made immense progress, but we have still a very, very long way to go. What we need to do now is, in the Gambia today, it's possible for us to vote a president out electorally without people.
What's going on?
Coach.
Saria, what happened to this old man again?
Today, I don't know. Today, his internet is a problem, man. Banka,
No,
are you still there?
he lives in Atlanta. I've always told him it's a third world country, third world state or whatever. You know, it's no. But anyway.
Coach, he's messing with you.
Problem, Mom.
No. You live in Atlanta. You live in Atlanta.
No.
We did. Up to the last, we did. They were hearing you.
He was just repeating. He was just repeating himself. But Banka, I just wanted to ask you this before I go. Where are you, Raka?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. I wanted to ask you a question, but then Musa sabotaged my question. We fought a very, very long fight, Banka.
Yeah.
And a very difficult one for that matter. And like I was saying, me and Dietz, on this day, 8 years ago, we sat in a courtroom in Minnesota, St. Paul, Minneapolis, St. Paul. All eyes were watery because you, Charnanjai, Alaji Baro, and Papa Fall were being sentenced. That has had a very negative effect on you, for all of us who know you and deal with you. Change has come. Banker who could not go back to the Gambia went back to the Gambia to a heroic welcome. It's the suit that Fadera claimed you bought from Walmart. Now, hindsight, you've had time. You've been waiting for your book forever. It has never come out because you're so lazy. You know, it's been 8 years, Banker. Now you've been transplanted now in the Gambia. Banker, the activist, has now become the mild politician, the businessman. Banker, so now you are into, you know what, let me take care of myself. I have a family, I have a business to run and all that stuff. If you look at it, Banker, from where we came to where we are now, do you sit sometimes and wonder whether it was worth it? Everything that you lost.
It was, yes, Coach. I will say yes.
And why?
It was absolutely. If I had to do it all over again, I would not change a thing. I would do it exactly the same way, because that's what we needed. That's the road we had to travel, and that's the path we had to take. And this is the destination we could get to. And like you rightly said, here today, you can go and stand in the market in Serekunda and yell on top of your voice and say, this country is not going right. This government should be removed. They are terrible government. This president is terrible. He's a bad person. And then say whatever the hell you want. And all you are going to get is people cheer you on and clap for you. That's the worst thing that's going to happen to you. The fact of the matter is, and thanks to your sacrifice, thanks to all the things that you all went through, you're talking about us, but you all went through a lot of sacrifice also on your end. Thanks to all those sacrifices, here we are today. Many people, even the ones that would insult us today, call us names and all these things, they are able to do all that in this country today, call us names and yell at the government and oppose the government because of the sacrifice and the fight we did. So, we should all celebrate this and be excited. For me, I am excited. This is a new phase, a different phase of my life. I haven't gone nowhere yet. I always tell people that. I haven't left the struggle. I haven't left the fight. I haven't gone anywhere. I just need to go through this phase where I go back, reflect, and go into solitude, reflect, and then look at where I need to go. That's the phase I am going through. I'm currently going to law school. Inshallah, very soon that'll be over. I'm dabbling into business here a lot, and I'm learning about us as a people, as Gambian people, and how we operate, how we think, why sometimes the issues that we had, why we had them, how the Gambian really approaches issues of commonality, and how where we have our flaws. I'm learning a great deal from co-workers, from businesses, from business leaders, from individuals on the street. I'm watching and I'm observing. These days I don't get into too many fights because I mostly spend my time observing. If you come to me today and say, Banker, you are a liar, I'll just look at it and say, and I'll smile. Because I want to hear more. I want you to talk more about what it is that you are thinking. More on the listening side or than the confrontation side. Once I understand us better, I think I'll be able to fully engage better. This is the way I'm looking at it. So since when I arrived in this country, I needed that time to step back and reflect. I haven't been visiting anybody, Coach. I haven't been going to anybody. Many people were shocked. They are looking at me like, is this the same Banker? Because I don't go to nobody. I don't go nowhere. I haven't been contacting even people I'm supposed to contact. I want to tell, and I want to use this opportunity to let all those people know that you didn't do anything to me. And I feel like I'm mad at you or there's something that went on between us. By all means, I will re-engage. I just need to go through this phase and kind of, really do go through this phase. I need it very, very badly. Once I come out of this, I will fully re-engage. And I'm sure that's the moment I'll go back to friends, family, relatives, and apologize to them because I haven't been engaged in this country at all. I've been incommunicado. That's why you don't hear me in anything. You don't see me nowhere. You don't see my writings much anywhere. It's only occasionally when I feel like, I have to say something, I will come out and say it. But as far in terms of whether regret or no regrets, Coach, I can tell you, I didn't regret a thing. This has been a wonderful journey. It's been an educative journey. It's been a journey that we needed as a country to learn about ourselves. For the first time, we struggled to bring about change. Gambians took their rights for granted because during the colonial days, nobody died for us to have our independence. We didn't struggle to fight for our independence. I always tell people it was given to us on a silver platter. Meetings were held, summits were held, conversations, and then boom, the British said, here is your independence. Unlike Guinea-Bissau and all these other countries who literally had to fight sweat and blood to get their independence. So for us, Jammeh was the one who taught us what freedom actually means, because that's when we lost it completely. The only time you know these things is when you lose them. You only know about pain when you, health when you are sick. You know about feeling good when you are in pain. That's when you value these things. Now I think we value our freedom more because we've lost it before. Now we value peace and tranquility because we were on war before. Now we value family because we used to be divided. Now we value love because we used to live in constant hatred. We still are struggling through those things. The vestiges still remain. But you and I know that where we are today is totally different from where we were yesterday.
There goes David Toro.
Absolutely. Well, think about it. On that day when we all sat in that courtroom,
yes.
I looked at you, Coach, and all I saw was somebody who had a teary, very, very teary eye, because you were very moved by what was going through. I looked around the room. Yes.
Credit abajana.
We were doing well. Can you hear?
Credit abajana. Well, I like what Tukulor said. If I knew law school would make Banka mellow, I would have paid for it. Why? That's really mellow.
If she knew law school would make you mellow, she would have paid for this law degree a long time ago.
Which is true. But Banka, I just gotta go. But you know what? You're my brother, and everybody knows. And I just wanna thank you for everything that you did for country. And you know, you are a good guy, and I'm not saying that because you are here, even though you're a pain in the ass, you know, a crybaby when it comes to asking questions and people, you know, putting you to check or in check. But you are a good man, and you did well for your country, and I'll be forever grateful to have worked and continue to work with you to bring about the Gambia that we have today. Yes, I hear somebody saying the struggle was nothing compared to what is happening now in the Gambia. If corruption and all those things now, believe me, is not. At least we have come a very, very, very long way from where we were, and we have to appreciate that. And you know what? Let people get their hands dirty and bring the change that they need. At the end of the day, the environment is conducive for it, and all it takes is genuine people to stand up before the people, convince them so that they will vote for you. But with that, Banker, thank you, and keep on keeping on, and keep being mellow. You know, stay on your side, and you know, do your thing. Your incommunicado or reflection, but Banker, the lawyer in the courtroom. I would want to witness your first case.
I'm coming back. Very soon I'm coming back. This time I'm coming with full force. So they're gonna get ready. I love you, coach. I love you, Musa. I love you, Sariang. And to see, I love you, but I'm saying that with very, I don't know. I'm struggling to even say the word love in your case because you are crazy.
But anyway, Mus, I gotta go, and you know, happy Mother's Day to all the great women that are watching us, particularly the single mothers who've been, you know, carrying the burden of raising these kids. Definitely. Thank you.
I'm gonna go Disney like lover boy like go Disney.
You know what? I gotta go. Goodbye.
So Banga, but we'll do it again. All right, man. Thanks. So,
thank you, Banka, man.
Peter Farcham. I really see wants to call in, and I'm just gonna give her my.
Hey, man, I wanted to point out. I think Nyanja is watching this. Hey, brother, man, I send you a message. Please check and reply back, okay? As Nyang. I'm talking to Nyanja. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I sent him a message via Messenger. So
Peter Farcham, you can call on WhatsApp 404-824-0219. Let me maybe put it right there. Sorry, we got Sonny. I think so. You can call in, and then we will we'll definitely hear from you, Peter Farcham. I think that's the name. 404-824-0219 on WhatsApp. So yeah, it's been a good one.
Oh, it is. It is. It went from how Donald Trump say from your low energy, and it kind of spike up, and
this so does that to me. Before like yesterday, I was at this gamut at 5 a.m. Came home and you know how that is. Didn't sleep very well, so I was like, "How am I going to do this show today?" But you know, the show has a way of, I guess, also the people. We all get our energy from them. When you see some of these commentaries, and I mean, people.
But hey, you gotta. They said. And I got this where they said, let me read this. They said, first time I will call this platform a very independent, and the questions were very middle-centered, and you guys asked the right question, not being overly opposition. And I think we all know who this person is. He texts me this, and I'm reading it. And he says, I think this is a great conversation, and I encourage all my counterparts within the government to come on and talk to the people directly. So he says congratulations and says tell Musa again that he did very, very well, and we all admire him.
I don't know how to. No, I don't know how to take those things anymore. But I mean, I'm talking about Nfally Fadera. I mean, there's something about the guy, though. I mean, he is really, really, really a nice guy. and you can disagree all you want, but he was able to answer the questions to the best of his ability.
And he was confident, Musa, too. Yes. I mean, he was.
So you gotta give him that much. And all we wanted to do is to raise the issues that are out there. And I think people need to understand, when we come on this program, sometimes we're not even prepared. So some of the commentaries that you make, we will take it and try to spin a question out of it, more than anything else. Really, we don't have all the answers or the questions.
We don't. Oh, but I think the engagement.
Go ahead. Oh, okay.
Are you there?
Yes. You want to contribute? Okay. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let me put you on. All right. So this gentleman, all the time when I see Stitha Tharchan, I thought he was a lady. I don't know why. So my brother, they can all hear you. What's up?
Great. Yeah, a great show and a great program, great platform. And yeah, respect to you, all of you. And yeah, I would really like to participate in Mandinka or Wolof.
Sure, whichever one works for you. Your choice, my brother.
Okay. Yeah. Li ma bëgg a wax rek mooy programme bi am na solo am na man koo toppa depuis time bu ko banka doon start. Ben tey mooy di only programme boo xam ne Gambia dama ko di toppa every Sunday suma famille bi sax am nañ ko dañ ma day jox suma space suma time pour mu mun ko watch because I think it's something very, very important. Après mu ngeen ko doole it's very, very dafa baax daal si réew plateforme yi mel ni dafa war a gën a bari si Gambia because man dama day follow Gambia Sénégal politique too much sorry waaye dama gis ne comme yu mel nii daal Sénégal la gën a bari Gambia because fii nii plateforme bi rek laa gis ne ak ku munti ñëw duñ dee xool ban parti nga bokka ban xeet nga bokka xaw noo mel nara nga am nara nga ñaaka sorry okay. Wow, duñ dee xool ban soo indi dañ na dee bàyyi nga joxe sa opinion waaye leen rek laa bëgg a contribute am na comme seen audience yi suma maas yi ñoo xamante ni writing in English this colonial language a lot of tough time understand dama dee mën a bind si anglais ak yeneen European languages am na wante concerning Gambia foog naa da ngeen war a try tamit di gën a laaka si
wolof ak sose
foog naa waaw because foog naa yéen programme bi lu fi dee gën a yëpp si lu baax ñu jàng anglais dégg anglais ñoom almost ñoom seen mind pour na so much so that ñu mën a understand bi yow fii waaye da ngeen war a programme bi da ngeen ko war a focus to the grass
local languages
Gambia vote si you dey vote Gambia ñooñu noonu Mandinka Wolof Fula yooyu lañ dee dégg
correct
sorry balaa
no you're all good
naa programme bi daal mu ngi a try di engage more local language because moom programme bi dama dee try pour ñu bari ñu koo seetaan waaye soo waxee dañ na def ñooñu
anglais yu bari rek te suñu anglais yi sax farax
no seen anglais is great really seen anglais is great but naa daal da ngeen war a try fuse some local languages a little bit,
Dega, absolutely. Thank you.
Just to please, come to WhatsApp call with them, inquiry at least comment.
Correct.
What's your opinion?
Correct.
Time to time, at least. So I may guess. At least, work on it. Sorry,
No, it's good.
Why? Wow, so from now WhatsApp you can be then available. Come so I mean come to Nfally. Maybe you question you haven't done it. Send help that you call, you know. Maybe you see audience you go because you know go develop and send you go develop again. So from now that rule that then go again buy that like YouTube it because anybody know them.
So Tessa, just FYI, we try to put it through the YouTube. So I'm hoping no one would be able to go back and check it out on YouTube. And I'm going to we're also kind of technologically challenged. You know how these things are. We have Basiru now helping us out. So hopefully Dinenko do this to YouTube. Yeah, but we appreciate you because you are here every Sunday. I see your name, really. And so yeah. No, and yo ya tax nak motax ñuy ñew fi ñun tamit every Sunday, no matter how crazy it gets. Then there's sonna, but we're like there are a lot of people out there ñoo xamne dañoo go tune in. So bro, keep coming and then thank you very much, Waji.
Thank you, Mr. Cham, man. Abaraka. Abaraka, thank you very much. Amin.
Okay,
yeah. Abaraka.
Yeah, Tukulor also wants me to call her Sarian.
Yeah, the auntie of the struggle. Let's hear what the auntie has to say. But they're gonna in the state house now. They said she's a big troublemaker. That's what I heard. They said the auntie is a big trouble. They say Mom Lisa too is a big troublemaker. Lola, my sisters are a big troublemaker. That's what I heard.
But Tukulor is on the bandwagon. Jambo must go. So I could.
No, man. How much? For now, the guy they watched that at the window. They don't want to show, but they said your sister, the auntie of the struggle, is a big troublemaker. I said, okay, no problem. Man, I will relate that to her. I think she has a good answer for you guys.
Your picture, girl, you look stunning. I can give it to you.
Cool.
Tukulor. How what's up?
He's a big troublemaker.
Magen mom degen you loco.
I just wanted to contribute because Yama talk, I became very nostalgic when you guys were talking. Because a lot of people that don't know Syrian, how many Syrian, the Gambia and Multi Affair.
Correct.
Mandumako say Facebook, someone, oh my God. So now because it was all via email. So that's the first time I saw how he even looked like. But it became very, very emotional watching, you guys on that platform talking. Money, yaya dama kubona wan. Yaya dama bona bobu nak mota ñep ñu xamanté. Gis nga tay of course later on Antina daf ma daan wax mu ne ma gis nga ku toog nga bëgg nit ñi am na mun na am ne da ngeen bokka. So si waxtaan ma dem bind about Burang Jan Antina ne ma hay man fofu la jonen la lifin Burang John mu ne jonen la judo.
Wow.
So because of nima bugan take doomam yi te man soo gisee man ma xam doomi Antina yi banka mi moo tax. Man dama ragaloon Mariam. Because time boobu noonu Mariam, when we are going crazy, she wasn't having access to banka. Gis ka 10 o'clock ku dof lu bengal call banka fi do ko waken. So ma ragal Mariam from that. Why da nga gis tay banka moo tax man ma Mariam man fi nekk Mariam la de gëna associate that bank.
Correct.
Te banka moo tax ma xam jabara.
Definitely.
So man suma toge ma gis brotherhood bi nekk yow ya ko saba pasaba. Te digante banka. Xam nga loolu dara la loo xam ne fi mu nekk yéen nekkul la xarit mbokk ngeen.
dëgg bu rëy.
So many people can share these stories. Jëndal Karamba UDP la nekk.
Oh yeah.
Waaye te Karamba su taxawee yéen. Because UDP yéen laa gis because these are his brothers.
Correct.
So man maa ngi wax rek ne banka bi mu fi ne we were all very sad, we were all very strong. Yeah, some of us when we are sad we drop everything. Waaye yéen da ngeen di déedéet. This is Banka's legacy, and it is a legacy that is needed to continue. Then, post Jammeh, for the people, by the people right now, is the platform more hamne, yen amulen ben agenda. Yen, dangen fineka for the entire population, like Karamba said. man dimaat bu ma leen wàccut xanaa léegi su ma gars yi su bés boo leen fànnee APRC nag boobu moom du ma ñëw you bring the ngeen indi ay guests yoo xam ne we don't even agree with them but
I know
yéen because of the way your formula is ñun ñi nga xam ne ñoo dee xuloo ak gars yi mere leen sax su ñëwee we debate respectfully gisuloo man su nit ñi doole di saaga ma ne leen non don't do that
yeah
because lii mooy foo xam ne nit ki su ñëwee fen sax yëpp di ngeen ko respect si koo fen boobu moo tax nag ñemeñ leen di ñëw so I'm just telling you guys ne the key to your success is because of your independence is because that even when you know people are lying to you you treat them with respect and dignity dina tax kooku su ñëwee su buggee ñëwaat fen sax suma brother ba sax Ismaila dina delsi
yes
dina toog rek ne dof yooyu ñu ngi fa de comment section bi waaye dina delsi because even though when he came and did what he did, peddling lies, it was not Ismaila who was lying, it was the government who was lying to you guys and all of us. So I really admire how you guys run your show. Yolendena can dictate how it goes because your goal is to inform Gambians. And sometimes, spreading that information may make people who do not like that information think because they don't know where the box is. Why? I just wanted to say thank you to you guys.
No, thank you.
Carrying something Banka started. And then today by you carrying this, I am hoping and praying and then you take the baton from you guys and say this is an important platform because Gambia independent platforms are very, very scarce in the Gambia. But they at Peter Gomez, even though people say what they say about Peter Gomez, same platform at Peter Gomez.
Right.
Is very independent because man, I'm not independent. That I can tell. I don't belong to a party, but I'm not independent. Baro mom, 100%. So I'm not independent. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Tukulor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy Tukulor. But they said you're a troublemaker, and you and my mom say you came on the radar to Andy Tukulor and Mom Lisa are troublemakers. That's what I heard now. That's what they said.
How about Duka?
Oh no, Bobo Nanko take it, Bobo. She is the first troublemaker. That's what they said. The other time she said it, she went on and on. She said Sababul Khair, Sarah Marak. I said no. Today the Ali don't say.
But Lord, we thank you immensely.
Thank you.
We really do. I mean, Komlinga whether it's Sariang or myself going all the way back to Gambia L, you were there too as well. Definitely.
Yeah, you were.
You've always been there, making a difference, no doubt. And we thank you immensely for everything that you do. Yeah. And thanks to and you know what is funny? I mean, Sariang, this whole thing about even independence. It's the platform itself, the aspiration for the platform to be independent. We can have all our biases, all we want. I mean, we're all human. And patibila, bugamunega, patibini, patibina, we all go through that. But at the end of the day, it's the platform that we want to make sure that the aspiration of the platform going to be fair, to help our democracy, to hear everybody out. I see people sometimes, you invite Kenya, hey, take the platform. I'm not going to be there. but we cannot do that because the moment we do that, then we have been restrictive. Invite. We want to engage the government as much as we can. At the end of the day, they'll tell their side of the story. We all can disagree all we want. We would engage the opposition parties. They will come and tell their side of the story, and we would try to challenge them. Program be, platform be more than their challenge, more than anything else, because that is what is expected of us, to be a conduit. Now, whether we are biased, yeah, I mean, like you are too. If they were in our shoes, they would do the same thing.
Yes,
you know what I mean? If they were part of the program, I can guarantee you guys will emulate and you will do it the same way that we're doing it, and that is to be seen to be fair. Go ahead.
No, Musa, you said something that I kind of forgot. Yesterday we were at a naming ceremony, and someone asked me and says, "Hey, man, the current issues. Do you guys kind of like have a have a meeting before the program and kind of discuss. I said, obviously we don't. I said sometimes like last weekend, I didn't know that Alhaji Kura and the other guy are coming